Hello, darling.
Hello, everyone.
Hey!
Hello. It's me.
Hello!
All week long.
Order in the courts. We're starting out over with Judge Boyd today with, again, nice floral arrangements, no glasses, and yeah.
That's looking good. I like it. She's got a different look with the glasses off.
It's true. But
Still sexy. Still sexy, but
different. We don't spend a lot of time with Miss Boyd, or Mrs. I should say, Judge Boyd. But we always like to check in and see what's going on. Good to see everybody. Let's see what's happening. See what this well-dressed, fine-looking young woman did.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand? Counsel, are there any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea bargaining agreement. The state is requesting that your community supervision be for a term of 6 years. Did you understand that was a recommendation from the state, and the court does not have to follow that recommendation? Yes. Then to the offenses charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? State any evidence?
Your Honor, state exhibit number 1 and all attachments.
No objection.
Ms. Alonso, I'm showing you what's entitled waiving consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call, and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements, police reports?
Hi, thank you first on the monetary
And
monorail.
judgments, but most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand?
Yes.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same.
We have a TPO that's just started. If we want to jump on over to that, we see what's happening over here. So unmute them and
the defense attorney will be able to cross-examine her and ask any questions about her testimony that he wishes to, as well as any other evidence or witnesses if there are any. And then at that point, the respondent will be able to present his case and any witnesses and testimony or evidence if they choose to. And then if any is presented, Ms. Truitt, I would ask you to ask me any questions you have of the respondent, and I will ask those, so it's not back and forth between the two of you. And then I will make a decision based on any and all of the evidence presented. So at this point,
in case anybody's new here, TPO is just a temporary protective order. She's swearing them in. Apparently, they don't want anything to do with each other, and they do. One of them has a lawyer. I don't know which one yet, but the one with the lawyer will probably win.
One of them is a little smarter than the other, you say?
Yes, one of them is going to win. And it's probably the one with the lawyer.
Yes, I'm the mother of his son.
Okay, and do y'all live together?
We were in the same residence, yes.
Okay, so up until the ex parte order was issued, did y'all live in the same residence?
Oh, I heard an alarm.
Yes. Okay.
Somebody needs to change
how
the
long
battery.
did you live in that residence?
Since he signed the lease in August 2021, we moved from our previous residence, and everything just was in his name because of our previous residence situation.
All right, and how long have y'all lived together in the same residence overall?
Mm-hmm. We have lived together since 2018. I want to say June 2018 is when we moved together.
I don't know.
So we've been living together ever since. He's worked out of town, but I've been in a family home while he's worked out of town.
Okay, and y'all have never married, is that right?
No.
Do you have children together?
Yes.
Yeah, a son.
Right,
she said that at the very beginning.
How many children and what are their ages?
One, he's 4.
All right, and
Oh, so
has
annoying. I don't know
the
how people can live
legitimation
like that,
process
honestly.
been completed or any final legitimation order as it corresponds to the respondent? Has there been
Your
any?
Honor, for the court's edification, the legitimation was filed in the end of December, the 27th. She was served, I believe, on the 4th or the 5th, the day after she filed for the TPO. Haven't gotten
Well
an
done.
answer on that yet, but
Okay, so the
it's
legitimation is pending, but as of this point, he has no legal rights to the child
correct.
unless and until there is a final order in the legitimation case. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, so all right. So what prompted you to file this order and this request? I'm sorry, this petition and request for a protective order.
Yes, so the past 2 years, it has been like on and off. It has been on and off physical, verbal, and mental abuse, and more recently financial. It
Financial
started
abuse?
back in
Financial abuse,
November
that's new.
of 2021
That's
when
why
we
she
went
can't
back
afford the
home
smoke detector battery.
to Philadelphia, and we had a situation where he had left my child with his relative, and I didn't know. And she told me it was okay for him. She had let him go out and have some drinks. When he
Objection. I'm not sure who she is, and if she's talking about somebody else or something, it's hearsay.
You get her, Drew
So,
Carey.
ma'am,
You get
under the
it.
law, you can't say what
I
someone
thought he
else
was more like
said.
cosplaying as
They would have to be
Chris
here to
Farley
testify on
every
their own.
Halloween.
That too, yes.
You can say what you saw, did.
Okay. So what I saw was when he got to the home to come pick us up, my son was without a shoe. He closed the door when he arrived to my dad's home. I was putting things in the trunk, and he closed the trunk on my body. And he wouldn't let my daughter and I in the car. And when I informed him that, he said he didn't do that, and I could tell he had been drinking. My stepmom was watching the whole time. And as he drove off, I had my mom and my sister on the phone, and he's telling me he's being irate and cussing and driving really crazy. And there's a curve called Kelly Drive, and he actually was driving. He was making abrupt turns in the car. We was driving the SUV, and it almost looked like the car was going to go over. So I called 911. They were dispatched. This was Pennsylvania State Patrol was dispatched near the King of Prussia area, and they pulled us over. And
very good shopping in that area.
They
by the way.
took him to the back, and I explained to him my kids were crying. It was a lot going on. They was very, traumatized by that whole event. And so the officers calmed me down, and we were able to drive back. They had me drive the SUV, which was rented in his name. And we drove to the hotel. So when I pulled my son out, my son, again, didn't have no shoe or no sock because he left it at his relative house who was watching him. So the officers allowed him to go back to the hotel to retrieve his items from the room, and he had to stay away. So the kids and I stayed in the hotel room that night. The next day, he had called us like nothing happened. He said he didn't remember none of that happening. And so everything I explained to him, he said, no, that didn't happen. I'm like,
if he had been drinking, why didn't
the kids were scared?
Why didn't the police arrest him?
So he asked me what time we were ready to leave, and we didn't leave with him. So I had got a rental car, and I had to drive back with my kids back to Philadelphia. I didn't want to be bothered with him. Then around, it was like back and forth arguing about, about money. We never argued about money because he always made more because he worked out of town, and that was the agreement. He was going to pay the bills and everything because he made more. I kept my son all of the time. I didn't have help with my son. I don't have help with my son.
Yeah, there's one further
the agreement was for me to, be with my son while he made the money and paid for everything, even though I was working. And some things I did help pay for. Some things I didn't ask them to pay for. And so December, Christmas time, he's, get upset and,
So are we in December of 2021?
2021, yes.
Okay.
And so he said he couldn't really afford. He asked me what should he get for my son for Christmas. I said, get him a bed. He need a bed. he said, oh, well, I can't afford that, but he wanted to get in glasses. And he also later found out other things, which I'll address. But my son didn't. He only got a few things. And so I said, okay, you know, I understand it's not that important. So January comes around, and then our I get a notice about our gas bill and our power. Our power had our gas got shut off and our power had got shut off. And so I asked him about it, and he said, oh no, I don't know about it. And I'm like, okay. Well, how, you know, I didn't have access to anything. I didn't have, because everything was in his name. So he never gave me access until, you know, he wanted me to pay. And then January, he said that he couldn't help with the rent and everything because he has to help with his funeral expenses for his cousin. And I'm like, okay, I understand that, but you can't leave our home without. So go back and forth about the bills. And then February, it's just a lot of back and forth about the bills. And so February 2022, he says, listen, he sent me a text, and I can present the evidence because I have that evidence to the court, and I can show it. But it's a text message that he stated. He sent me a text message, and he said he needed his job was sending him to get help. You know, that he was going to have no access to his phones and only to his email. And so I had missed his phone call. So I asked him to call me back, and he called me back. He said, listen, this is going to be good for our family. This is give me a fresh start. Just give me this time. My job is very important. My job is sending me to get help. And I said, oh, okay, why wouldn't you have access to your phone? Where are they taking you? A treatment center? Where are they taking you? Why wouldn't I know? This is Valentine's Day weekend, and it's coming up on a year of my dad being passed away. And I asked him to get my son, and all of a sudden he's going to this treatment center that he can't get my son. So I'm like, okay. So he like, I promise it'll be good. It'll be a fresh start for me and the kids, and we'll be good. And then I later find out that he was in Dominican Republic he was soliciting sex, and I have.
So here's where I need, so far all the arguments about the bills and him being in the Dominican Republic, while might be,
we need more
bad relationship wise, I'm focusing solely on acts of family violence towards
right.
you.
And
so infidelity, hold on, let me finish. Infidelity and disagreements on their own are not acts of family violence. So I'm asking you to focus in on presenting to me what acts of family violence you are alleging. Okay.
Now, would she have any proof of him?
So you found out that he had been in the Dominican Republic for Valentine's Day. And okay, so what happened after that?
It was Valentine's
and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because he didn't pay the bills, but he solicited sex, and I have proof of that. But when he came back, he still made it seem like we were good. Everything was good. The family was good. We went. And then fast forward, still talking about the bills. And May, what happened was I was in my office taking a phone call, and I hear this loud thump, and I'm like, okay, what? When I finished the phone call, I went out, and my son was like, look, mommy, look, daddy was angry, and he broke the pantry door like this. And I also have evidence of that.
Objection, hearsay, judge.
Yeah,
I have evidence.
So hold on. So unless the child is here to testify, the child cannot.
Oh boy.
You can't testify as to what the child said. Okay. So when you say,
everybody needs to remember too, they are never married. So I'm trying to wonder, why is he being held responsible for all her utilities and stuff, unless it's like court ordered? Great question.
Admitted. So when you say you have evidence, you can let me know what that is.
Okay.
And then there may be things that you have to be able to show before it may be admitted, and the defense counsel will have an opportunity to object to any of these items, and I will rule depending on what is presented to me. Okay.
Okay.
The kid really walk up.
So you have evidence. So this, when you say you have
smartest kid already, mother.
Tell me what it is that you want. You want to be considered.
Yes, it's the door that's broken in half. And my son is actually sitting in the back of one of the pictures, but it's P1, is labeled P1.
Okay, so it's a photo that this was May of 2022,
Yes.
and it's a photo of a broken door and your son in front of it.
Yeah, in half. Yes, he broke the door in half. Yes.
Okay.
Broke the door in
And has this picture been altered in any way?
Karate chop.
No.
That's what
Is
it
a
did.
true and accurate depiction of the door as
It
you
is,
saw it on that day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any objection to plaintiff's exhibit 1, Mr. Shapiro?
Well, I haven't seen it, but if it's just a picture of a broken door, we'll stipulate that there's a broken door.
Okay, I will admit it without
that.
objection at this point.
Look at that
As
small
plaintiff's
man.
exhibit 1, and Madam Clerk, you can pull that
Oh,
up if
boy.
you do see it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Oh my
That's-
goodness.
I like
All
that.
right, it's a broken door.
All right, okay, so
Guy.
this one is admitted without objection. So this is,
How
you
do
were
you break
working in your
that?
office and you heard something and then came out to see a
Oh,
broken
God.
door, right?
Is it
Yeah. My son
styrofoam?
was playing in that plate area right there.
Okay, all right, you may take that down, Madam Clerk. Okay, so what happened after that?
So I asked him what happened, and he had left out the home. So he never replaced the door. I asked him if he replaced the door because it was every time my son would see it, he said, "Mommy," he just kept bringing it up. And I'm like, I don't want my son to be brought up like that or think that's okay. So I just asked him to replace the door, at least let the maintenance team know to come replace the door, but he never did. So
Yep, broken door.
we still going back and forth about the whole bills and everything. So I decided to go it upon myself to get counseling for us, family counseling, because of this issue. So I had paid for counseling through Regain, and from May to July, and he actually agreed to it because there was a lot that was going on even before that. He would come in my room, because we lived in separate rooms, and I would lock my door, and he would come in. These would be nights where he'd be drinking. He would come in and unlock my door and force himself on me. And when I mentioned that the first time to the first therapist, he was upset and he got mad. And I said, that is what's happening. And I'm telling you, you keep telling me you don't remember, but it's not okay, because if you're saying we're not in that space, then you shouldn't violate my space. And so when I expressed that, because I didn't want to get him in trouble, and I'm trying to talk this through a family counselor, he kept denying it. And I'm like, you can't keep denying it, because this is affecting me. And so when we go to another counselor, because he didn't like that counselor, so we go to another counselor, and he, agrees to continue with this counselor, Miss Sandra Johnson. And then as she's talking, he will walk away.
Okay, so I'm going to stop for a second, because getting into counseling sessions, remember, this is not family court. This is only a temporary intervention. This is not family court. This is not long-term custody, long-term visitation. This is not a shortcut to either of that. What this is, and all I can do, is see if there have been any acts of family violence committed under the statute.
It's the second time
by
now.
preponderance of the evidence, and if there's a reasonable likelihood of future acts being committed. So the counseling and stuff, unless there was an act of family violence committed around that, is not something that I should be considering. Okay, so go ahead and go to what act you're alleging at this time.
Yeah, so because he didn't want to continue, it was when I talked to the counselor, and she was like, this just
Objection, hearsay.
No.
So you can't say what the counselor said. You can
okay, I'm just saying, when I talked to the counselor, she just said,
no, you can't say what the counselor said.
Okay,
so I'm sustaining that objection.
Okay, so we just needed to get more counseling, and he refused to do it that way. So that was in July when that ended. In August, it was just going back and forth. I would ask him to get my son to kind of spend some time with my son, and he wouldn't spend time with my son. And then it was a moment where he had gave my son some food, and then he went out. And came back, and he was drunk. And he was talking. I overheard him talking on the phone that he had spent $100 on food and everything. This was the night that the violence actually took place. This was that night. So I overheard him, and I asked him, I said, well, how could you go outside of the home and you eat the lamb chop and everything, and you only give my son this food? And I said, why couldn't he have what you had? And so he's like, you're in my business. And I had phone, but I wasn't recording. He thought I was recording. I had a bottle of water in my hand and I had the phone. And he like, are you recording me? I'm like, no, I'm not recording you. He said, I'm in my drawers. Why would I said, I'm not recording you. And so he runs towards me and he shoves me on the floor, the water bottle, and do have pictures I would like to present for that with the evidence of the water and me going to the hospital.
She's just gonna hold up the water bottle.
If
He
this
shoved
is
me
like
down,
spilled
broke my
water,
nails, scratched my skin. We was tussling in the, I was trying to get up because my son is watching this the whole time. And I'm trying to get up and he gets up and he goes out with my phone. He calls the cops and he goes out with my phone. And
he
so I'm
called the
asking him, I'm
cops?
screaming for my phone. Can you give me my phone? Can you give me my phone back? And so the officers come and I explain to them what happened. And I showed them, at that time, what was going on and my nails and everything. And so we
forgot
filed
the water
police
bottle. We
report.
brought it up.
The next day, well, I had made a video also too, because my body started to ache. And so I had made a video, which is also, I have evidence that I had submitted.
Her body started to ache?
And I also, that morning, I had to go to church because I was on schedule to serve. So after church, my face was swollen and my hands were swollen. So even when I talked to my pastor, she told me, it's best that you go to the hospital.
Okay. You can't say what you're
I went to the hospital. I have
Who's saying
recorded
she's
that
got
as
this
well.
evidence? We've seen it
I do
more
have
so far.
the ER paperwork, the discharge paperwork where they did address that. I do have evidence that I had submitted in regards to that. And I also have a text message that I sent to him, Mr. Ross, letting him know the effect of everything he did, because he always denied everything he's done as if he don't remember. And
Okay, so let's slow down. You said you sent in pictures?
yes, in the video.
Okay, do you
That's
know
what she
what
said.
exhibit number that is? The
Yes.
picture?
Even though she was all
So
achy and
P9
swollen.
Can you tell me what
Is-
you're alleging it is? Pictures?
is the video of me before I went to the ER, like sitting in the ER.
And let's not forget the
What is
first
the video?
rant.
So what is the video
All
in
about
the ER?
money.
It's just
Yeah.
showing
Real reason we're here.
my face swollen and my hands. And then I also have the discharge papers.
Okay, so do you have pictures in addition to the video or just the?
If she,
I
if she
have
does
pictures.
really have any proof.
And the cops came. He called the police. That means the
He
police
called the
came
police.
during this. Yeah, and he wasn't arrested or nothing. Not one word of him being arrested or taken in or anything.
We have to do one at a time. The
Okay.
pictures of your hands, are these pictures you're saying that were taken
Oh,
when were they taken?
That day, August 21st is when
For
it was
real.
taken.
And are they a true and accurate reflection of what was taken that day?
Yes,
Of your what is pictured in them that day, your body?
yes,
And have the pictures you presented to the court been altered in any way?
no,
All right. Any objection to the pictures of her body she is asserting is from that day?
I'd like to see the pictures, Judge. I had asked her when we spoke earlier to send me copies of the exhibits, and I never got an email.
Did you
with
give
it.
her that email?
Yes, I did.
I didn't get the very end of the email before he got
.com?
cut off.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna ask to
Got
happen.
cut off, Creed.
I'll propose. We take a break and let you send him whatever you have submitted to the court so he can look at them.
Oh, we're
Okay.
taking a break.
That's fine.
Okay, we'll
That's
do
all
that.
right.
And
Can I give you my email address?
All right, so they're going to take a break,
Got it.
and we'll be back
All
with
right.
them in just a moment.
All right. Let's go over here to Cowlitz.
Sorry, I don't have a document.
That case. Ooh,
So far,
I mean, it doesn't look good for her right now as far as
No,
like
Give me one
any
second here.
evidence.
every tiny little thing that she says, I've got evidence. I've got evidence. We'll see. We've changed things up from the beginning to the end before.
Yeah.
So we need to all keep an open mind. But the way she started out with the money, she is yet to really, even though she's done a lot of talking, she's yet to really explain one
You are
whole thing.
Taylor Tiffany
Mhm.
Tiffany Fadden, is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Fadden, the court
Tiffany.
has found probable cause to hold you to answer to a charge of obstructing a law enforcement officer and false statement to a public servant. Each one a gross misdemeanor with a maximum potential sentence of 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine plus assessments. You have the right to be represented by an attorney of your own choosing, and if you cannot afford one, an attorney will be appointed at no expense to you. You're presumed innocent on these charges unless the prosecutor proves that each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt. You have a right to a speedy trial. That's 60 days from today's arraignment if you're in custody on the cases, and 180 days from your readiness hearing if you're out of custody on the cases. You have the right to a jury trial.
Jesus, what did
You
it
have the right
get
to
cut
hear and
off?
question the prosecutor's witnesses, to testify on your own
How do you
behalf,
know it's at the end of
call
the
your own
email
witnesses,
anyway?
to
Oh, the
compel
end of it
witnesses
was
to
cut
appear
off.
at no expense to you. You have a right to disqualify up to one judge if you do so in a timely manner. And if you are convicted after a trial, you'll have
Depends
the
on
right
the,
to appeal. But
craziness.
you'd have to file a notice of appeal in a timely manner. The
She might
guilty
be
plea
on
waives
one.
all of these rights except the right to
Crazy.
counsel. And if you're not a citizen, you got the right to consult an immigration attorney because a criminal conviction for a non-citizen is a basis for deportation, exclusion from admission, or denial of naturalization under the laws of the United States. With all of this said, would you like me to appoint an attorney to represent you in this case?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to
Sure, why
conditionally
not?
appoint the Grimm Law Group to represent you. We are going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. I said conditional because you have to fill out an attorney application. We've got to verify that you do qualify, but for the time being, Grimm Law Group is representing you here. Mr. Frazier is an attorney from that group, is here with us. I'm going to hear from the prosecutor now on bail and conditions of release.
City is requesting standard release conditions. It appears that she has one prior case that's still pending that's of similar nature to this that has gone, there have been 2 warrants issued in the last year on. I'll defer to the court on bail.
Wow.
Mr. Frazier.
Yes, Your Honor, we're asking for her to be PR with standard release conditions. We do show that she doesn't have an extensive criminal history, like Stuart mentioned that she does have a pending charge, but they are similar. Other than that, she does not have an extensive criminal history.
Okay, you need to do something about your microphone.
I'm sorry, is it really bad?
Quality is really bad there. I did get it.
I apologize.
Okay, very good.
But the
Okay.
camera's on.
Ms. Fadden, I think
It is
I'll,
beautiful,
release
yes.
your own recognizance on
High
this
def.
case on the following conditions. You are to appear for a pretrial on March 7th
I'll try and get it taken
at
care of.
1 p.m. That will be via Zoom. You will need to appear for a readiness hearing on May 2nd.
Hallelujah.
At 2 p.m.
Hallelujah.
That will be via Zoom. And you will have to appear for a jury trial on May 19th. That's 9 a.m. in person at the courthouse. You're to have no criminal law violations. You can report any change of address to the court clerk and your attorney. Now's an important, well, they're all important, but this is important. As soon as you get out today, call your attorney's office. The paperwork we're going to give you has their number on it. You must give them your contact information. They'll call you back today or tomorrow and tell you which attorney's been appointed, and then you can make an appointment to meet with that attorney. If you wait until the last minute,
I have a feeling if
they
she's
won't
not
be
on
able
her
to meet
med,
you
she is a
because they
whole other
book up
person. Just,
quickly.
She's
And at the
so
pretrial,
calm.
there's a good chance
Yeah.
you'll be taken
That's
into
crazy
custody.
look.
Okay. And we'll send over a copy of these conditions for you, and you should be processed out of the jail. Okay. Okay, thank you.
CBP was before
jurisdiction
your
was that,
time,
Madam Clerk?
Ragnar.
Captain Kangaroo, come on. Mr. Green Jeans, the whole gang.
Jeremiah Hughes, Your Honor.
Good God, who's yelling?
You are Jeremiah James Hughes, is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes, and the cause number that ends in 774, the court's found probable cause to hold you to answer to a charge of criminal trespass in the 2nd degree, theft in the 3rd degree, vehicle prowling in the 2nd degree,
Oh.
3 separate counts.
Damn.
Each one is a gross misdemeanor except the trespass 2. Those gross misdemeanors have maximum potential sentences of 364 days in jail and $5,000.
Who's handsome? Thank you for the
Trespass
gifted
two,
membership.
simple misdemeanor with a maximum
Doing the
penalty
Lord's work.
of 90 days in jail and 1,000 plus assessments. In the cause number that ends in 775, the vehicle, the court has found probable cause to hold you to answer to another charge of vehicle prowling in the second degree. As I said before, a misdemeanor with a maximum potential sentence of 90 days in jail and $1,000 fine. In the cause number that ends in 144, the court's found probable cause to hold you to answer to a charge of possession of motor vehicle theft tools. This is a gross misdemeanor.
Catalytic converter guy. What do you think?
Of 364.
He did some prowling, so I'm gonna say, yeah, why not?
Plus assessment. Did you hear me go over rights with the defendant right before you? Or would you like me to go over your rights with you?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Would you like me to appoint an attorney to represent you in each one of these cases?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm going to appoint the Grim Law Group to represent you in each one of these cases. We're going to enter a not guilty plea on each one of these charges. The appointment of the Grim Law Group is conditional. You might have heard me saying that with a person before you. You got to fill out a court-appointed.
Those of you who don't know, Grim Law Group, the lady with the gray streak through her hair.
Get that filled out. I've got to have that.
And the time machine and the shape of a giant clock.
Now, I'm going to hear from the prosecutor on requests on bail and conditions for release.
City's asking for standard release conditions that he not go back to 604 Ash Street in Kelso.
Kelso, I think he was on that.
Make sure there's not another location.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
I will note he has a warrant out of Lewis County for a driving while suspended third. And it looks like he's had a couple of other warrants in the last 2 years. Due to the
go ahead, Stuart.
With those factors in mind, I would actually defer to the court on bail at this point.
Okay, Mr. Frazier, on the issue of bail.
Your Honor, we're asking for him to be PR'd in this matter. He had one previous charge. It was in 2022, but other than that, Your Honor, besides that issue and this current issue, we don't see any other concerning criminal history that I think would prevent him from being PR'd in this matter. So we're asking for him to be PR'd, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm not going to PR him. I've got an outstanding warrant. He's shown that he won't appear. So in the cause number that ends in 774, I'm setting bail at $5,000.
So close.
775.
So close to that PR bond.
$1,000. And the cause
One of
number
those.
that
Well,
ends
you
in
tried.
744,
He did. He put his best effort in it.
$1,000. Conditions of release are the same on all of the cases. Appear for a pretrial February 21st at 1 p.m. via Zoom. A readiness hearing March 7th at 2 p.m. via Zoom. And a jury trial March 24th at 9 a.m. in person. Have no criminal law violations. Report any change of address to the court clerk and your attorney. If you do make bail, immediately contact your attorney to give them your contact information. You must meet with your attorney before the pretrial. If you do not make bail, your attorney will be up to see you. I've got to have you fill out that application for court-appointed attorney. You need to clear out all your warrants before the pretrial. That's a Lewis County warrant, and you're not to go to 604 Ash Street.
A terrible burger joint.
Very overpriced with a fixins bar.
Yeah.
Very overpriced.
Douglas Warner, Your Honor.
Great idea. It's just I've yet to have a decent burger there. Even with 9 million.
Douglas Philip Warner, is that correct?
Yes, it is, Your Honor. You're looking for results.
Gary, thank you for the 2 for
Warner, the court's
Gary!
here a statement of defendant upon plea of guilty to the charge of driving while suspended in the third degree. You got a chance to review this with your attorney.
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
Okay, the prosecution
Well, he's
apparently is
certainly
going to be
polite.
moving to
He's
amend the
happy to be here.
traffic ticket, the infraction operating of failure to display. Is that correct, Mr. File?
Yes.
Yeah. Ours has been closed a very long time as well.
Yeah, I think there's still one in Myrtle Beach.
Is that correct, Mr. Frazier?
I thought we actually have a 300, but a 200. If that's what I actually would go with Stuart File on this.
Bidding against him?
No, Your Honor. We'll stick with 200. I think it's 200 actually
Thank you.
from my prior experience.
Okay. So, Have you had a chance to review this statement of defendant upon plea of guilty on the charge of driving while suspended in the third degree with your attorney?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
You believe you understand it?
Yeah, I don't think it's
Yes, I do,
bad.
Your
It's just
Did
there's
you
better
authorize
version.
your attorney to put your
It's
signature
kind of
on it?
pricey.
Yes, I did authorize her to do that.
The elements of this crime are that you
Five
in the
Guys
city of
pricey, but it
Kelso
was
operated
pricey.
a motor vehicle while your privilege to do so was suspended and immediately reinstatable. Understand those are the elements.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
For what
By
it is,
pleading
yeah.
guilty, you're giving up the right to a speedy public trial in
I
front
like
of an
Zach's.
impartial
I like the
jury.
Zach
You're giving up the
sauce.
right to
They have nice
decide whether to
salads.
refuse to testify.
The salads
Giving
are
up the
very
right to
good.
hear and question the prosecutor's
You
witnesses,
used to
giving up
have
the
to
right
pay for a
testify
drink
on
though.
your
You
own
get
behalf.
a
All your
$12
witnesses
chicken
and
tender
co-witnesses
meal,
to
and
appear in
you
process.
still have to
You,
get
giving up the
drink.
right
But
to
now
be
they're
presumed
including that
innocent,
like
force
every
the
other restaurant.
prosecutor to prove each and every element of the crime charge beyond a reasonable
Mavis?
doubt, and you're giving up your right to appeal from the
Mavis.
determination of guilt. These are your trial rights. You're giving them up. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Well, I get the little
Maximum potential sentence, 90 days, $1,000.
the Zaxby.
$1,050
They're just little sandwiches. You get like 3 or 4 of them.
Yes, I do, Your
The
Honor.
nibblers.
Prosecution
Yeah, that's
takes
what
the
they are, yep.
recommendation of 5 days in jail with 85 suspended, credit for time served. They're asking for fines and fees that come up to $527. They're moving to amend the ignition interlock violation charge to the infraction of failure to display with a $200 fine. You understand? That's the recommendation.
Yes, I do understand, Your Honor.
And you understand that I don't have to follow anybody's recommendation as to what a sentence should or should not be, although I do have to grant that motion to amend on the second charge. Do you understand that?
I do understand that it is all up to you, Your Honor.
Fuddruckers is a great name.
You will lose your right to possess a commercial driver's license as a result of this conviction, and if you're not a citizen, this guilty plea could result in deportation, exclusion from admission, or denial of naturalization.
Told you, Hector,
Under
stay
the
away
laws
from
of the
Rod.
United States. Are you aware of that?
Stay away.
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Then of the charge of driving while suspended in the third degree, how do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Making this plea freely and voluntarily.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anybody threaten you to get you to plead guilty?
No, Your Honor.
Anybody make any promises?
I this
to get
dude
you
out
to
just
plead
because of how
guilty
nice.
Other than
He seems like a
prosecutor's
pretty nice
promises,
guy.
recommendations.
Nope, no, Your Honor. Just,
I have a statement
Nope.
that says on March 1st, 2021 in Kelso, Washington, I drove a motor vehicle when my privilege to do so was suspended, but immediately reinstatable without a period of further suspension. Is that true?
yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll find that there's a factual basis for this plea. That it is voluntarily and intelligently, I'll accept it. Find the defendant guilty of driving while suspended in the third degree. I'll grant the city's motion to amend
It's true. YouTube Premium is
additional
good. And we do
violation
get a
of
cut,
the
by the way,
infraction
even
of
though you
failure to
watch.
display. I'll find the infraction of failure to display proven and committed, and I will impose a $200 fine on that. Now, as far as sentencing on the criminal matter, Mr. File.
City's asking the court to follow the recommendation as submitted. I believe he's been in jail for close to the 5 days at least.
Mr. Frazier.
Yes, Your Honor, we're asking you to follow, or asking the court to follow a recommendation. It looks like he's been in custody since Saturday, so he should have almost all of the 5 days completed. In addition to adding, Your Honor, we've been able to speak to our client, and we understand that he'll be able to take care of also. There's some warrants that he understands he has to take care of, and he wants to take full responsibility for those and get them resolved immediately. So he is aware of that. And we want to let the court know that he's planning on taking care of those right when he gets out of custody. And that would be all that we'd like to add, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Is there
Our
anything you'd
guy.
like to say before I sentence you?
I was just gonna touch up exactly what he had said, that I'm gonna go and get those taken care of as soon as I can. Your Honor.
He's going to touch them up.
Okay. I'll follow the recommendation and 5 days in jail, 85 suspended for 24 months, $1,000 fine. All of it suspended for 24 months, a $200 fine on the failure to display. That must be paid within 60 days unless you set up a payment plan. And the judgment and sentence explains how you do that. The conditions of the suspended portion of the sentence are as follows. Have no criminal law violations.
Well, it was only
Any act that's
like
committed after imposition of
something with his
sentence
car
today.
anyways,
You've got
it was
pending
like
cases, if you
too
convict on
bad.
one of those, it's not a problem because it happened
Opposed.
before today.
I'm waiting on this
And if
TPO
you
order
charge and get
for them to
convicted
come
of it,
back. But
then
yeah.
there is a problem.
Shocker.
You're in suspended
Probably
jail time.
taking a few minutes
Don't
to
drive without a valid
email.
license and insurance, pay off your legal financial obligations. Now, you must come back to this court on March 29th at 1 p.m. in person
Thank you,
in
Mayor.
courtroom number 4 unless you have your Wahkiakum and Lewis County warrants cleared. If those warrants are cleared, you don't have to be here. I'll just look up at the computer screen. We'll all see that they're cleared. You're fine. You don't have those warrants cleared for whatever reason.
Well, good. He put the
Gotta have them
stipulation in there
here.
for him to
There's a
actually go and do it.
possibility that they'll suspend you.
Yeah, it's
So we'll send
even
over this
more
judgment
incentive to
steps
get
for
it
you.
taken care of.
I can't tell whether you're gonna get out today. Sounds like it's close.
It's close, Your Honor.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
How about you just say he gets out
Thank you,
today?
counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Three of you are on the same
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
thing there. While we're waiting, jump over, see if anything else is going on. I was gonna see gosh, we had so much fun seeing Sue yesterday.
I know. Licking's not on right now, though.
No. Oh. Well, they had a busy day yesterday because Judge George had something going on in the courtroom. And of course, Stansbury doing all the daily activities.
He does all the heavy lifting.
Well, I look forward to this TPO coming back and seeing to the end because I hope that she's got some
decent proof, but she's talking about having a picture of her spilled water. I never saw that.
Yeah, no.
And when she tells me her hands are swollen, that she has swollen hands or a swollen face, I would think maybe we would see that as far as like, oh, well, obviously something happened to her, but I'm starting to think maybe when we see these pictures, they may not be as jarring as we're thinking.
I don't think so. The way just because of the way that she started out with all the money stuff, and then she never did get it out with some facts surrounding each of these allegations, if you will.
She said he was mentally, verbally, physically abusive,
financially,
and as of recently, financially abusive too. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see what's happening with that. I'm trying to keep an eye on it so we don't miss a second of it. I'm constantly refreshing, trying to.
Let's jump over to Judge Donald Allen real quick, see what he's got going on. I will BRB. I'm going to jump outside real quick, check traffic and weather together. Pike, thank you for the twofer.
Perfect.
Appreciate you.
And what day was that?
I will be monitoring. If it comes back, I'll jump in here quick.
At 1:15.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Concludes all my matters for today.
I like him a lot.
Good to see you.
Sometimes he can be very slow. I wonder which one of them's Kimberly Dudley, attorney for. Like, you look at that picture right there and you're trying to figure out which one's the defendant and which one is the attorney. I like to think the older lady is the attorney. But that's just me.
Ms. McHugh, which case are you here on?
I am here for MCM Communities. I have 401k and they said that I had to have eviction notice for how much I owed them, and they will let me have the 401k to pay it off. I want to stay here. My daughters are back.
All right, guys, we're back over here.
It had nothing to do. So I guess I just want to draw the court's attention that whatever was admitted, it was just the picture of the broken door, I believe, not
Yes,
the
it was
leather
just
and
that
lash.
picture
just that one picture.
as,
Okay.
as plaintiff's exhibit one
Hallelujah.
was my understanding. Nothing else has been admitted or tendered at this point.
Okay.
All right. So, Ms. Truitt, you were going to, we'd been asking you about
My
pictures.
client's not on.
Oh, sorry. Goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got to make sure that you
Let's bring him in.
enable gifts so that you can
He
receive
was just in here.
a free one.
Oh, I see him. He just logged back in. He must have dropped the call. I'm bringing him back in now. Sorry about that.
I thought I saw
Fire
him earlier.
Captain, good to see you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. Let's let him connect.
I will
There
go
we
for
go.
it.
All
We'll
right.
see you
I think
soon.
we are back. Okay. So we were saying only the exhibit admitted was Petitioner's Exhibit 1, picture of a broken door. Then I was asking, and Ms. Truitt was telling the court about pictures she took of her body?
It was a
Um,
video.
And the
Yes,
video,
the
but we
body
have to do them
pics.
separately. So one exhibit at a time. So pictures, do you know what those are labeled as?
Yes, so the pictures are labeled as, let's see,
These are the pictures in question.
1 second. P12, P2, and
Yeah, thanks again, Leather and Lashes, and Mayor gifted one also, and 6
And
months
the,
of memory, Chris.
So
those
let's
are
start
the
with
those,
P2.
P2 is the discharge papers. It was videos of my hands. It was videos.
Okay, I hear you, but we have to. So what I see is P2, you're saying are the discharge papers. Okay,
Mhm,
we'll
and
start
the
with that. Mr. Shapiro, do you have any objection to her tendering an admission of the ER discharge papers from the date she was talking about?
I mean, no, there are no notes as to what the injury was, but that's fine.
Okay, so
It
plaintiff's,
is needed.
My
so
gag.
plaintiff's exhibit
My
2,
God.
if it is the discharge papers is admitted, Madam Clerk, could you pull that up?
He's back to his usual name now. He's not like LLC.
Oh,
LLC.
wait.
Oh, there we go.
They figured it out. Okay.
Okay, so these are the discharge papers from your hospital visit that you say you
Yes.
went to?
And if
Okay.
you see where it says today's visit, it says assault, multiple contusions because my head and left hand pain. So it does have all of that noted there.
All right.
Am I
Oh,
am
they
I
gave her
missing something where it says multiple contusion? Oh, okay. I see on the side. Okay.
ibuprofen.
I got you.
Okay,
Diagnosis: assault, multiple contusions, left hand pain. Assault victim.
okay. All right, we can take that down.
Got to make sure you're on
Okay,
main channel and you have them.
you said you had pictures. Do you
Yeah.
know what those exhibits are? What the label is?
You
They-
can't
they
get
were
those over on
videos,
We Got a Case yet.
Sorry,
So you
Your
get-
Honor. They
so
were
no
videos.
pictures.
That was the picture of the discharge, and I had the videos. I had got them too. Sorry.
Okay, what are the videos labeled as?
Certain
The
phones.
video is video P9. It's P9. That's one video.
All right, and what is this video of?
Yes, that's the video that I had recorded right after service where my face was a little swollen and my hands was still messed up. And then I also have P6, which is a different video that was recorded immediately after the officers had drove off that night. So
Okay,
And thank you, Angela,
let's
by
start
the way.
with
Thank you. Appreciate that.
P6. Is it a short video, like instead of?
yeah, they're short videos. They're short videos.
Okay, and has it been altered in any way? Is it
No.
a true and accurate depiction of
Yes.
you on that day at that time?
Yes.
Okay, any
That was
objection to
weird.
plaintiff's exhibit 6?
Yeah, I'm not
I mean, I
sure.
reviewed the
think
video. All it
other-
does is show my client leaving the apartment. There's no
No,
speaking. There's
P6.
nothing. But she could show it.
Look at her face at the
that's
attorney.
P6.
Unless I didn't see a P6. Was there? You said P6?
Uh-huh.
I don't have a P6 on the list.
I sent you 3 emails. One was pictures, and then I told you in the first email the videos were large, so I sent them separate.
On
So
the
I sent
top, I'll show
a
you.
second email and a third email.
I got the second. I did not get a third email.
So
It's at the bottom.
The
Just
third
bottom
email
got cut
was
off.
sent at 1:40, and it had 3
I
attachments.
believe you. It didn't.
It may have been too big.
Try hitting the money symbol down here. That should.
Yeah, should be able to hit that. Like
That
you're going to
should do it.
give
What
us
is-
money,
What are you saying that this video?
but it'll ask you what you want.
It's a video
to do. You don't
right after the
really send
officers
money.
had left, but P9
Where it says
P9
money
is
right there.
that morning of
Morning
well,
after?
yeah, the morning
Oh.
the morning of my visit to the ER.
So she's saying these videos show herself the night after the police left and then the next morning after church.
Okay.
She waited till
So
the
if-
next day to go
I
to the
will-
hospital.
Please play the.
You can renew your objection if you need to
That's fine.
at any point, but okay, so I will initially admit these without objection. Madam Clerk, can you pull up plaintiff's exhibit 6?
Okay.
So I don't need that. I'll note that I can't hear it, but I don't need to hear it because she is here to testify, so I don't necessarily want to hear any narrative.
I guess we're the only ones that it bothers. I don't know, TK. I don't know how anybody can live like that. I had
So
mine were
the video shows broken nails.
working with each other, going back and forth one time.
Okay,
They were nuts.
Those aren't
nails.
broken nails. That's her fake fingernails popped off.
Yeah.
No.
No, on your hand.
Yeah.
Those are just fake fingernails have been popped off. I mean, but if her hand is swollen, wouldn't that mean she hit something?
Pushed me down and had me in this little corner in my office.
And this was August of 2022.
Yes.
Just like the broken door. Yep, that's a broken. Yep, that's a hand.
Okay. And is there anything else on it?
I mean,
not on this video.
I can't see
So we
anything
can
other
pull
than
up
her
the next
nail
one,
popped off.
plaintiff's exhibit 9.
Any woman that's ever gotten those kind of nails before knows those things will pop off. I mean, did you see any swelling that we're talking about?
Not really, but that's hard to without like before and afters. It's hard.
Yeah, I don't know what her hands look like normally. Would she take all her nails off now?
They hurt. My body hurt. My face is swollen.
Nah, it doesn't work that way, Tree.
Nah. Yeah, it don't work like that.
And it hurts.
Where's
So
the
what is
swelling?
this video showing?
Yeah, my face was swollen. My hands had swelled up. And my head and my body was hurting.
They could be swelled up, but it's just hard to tell, you know.
Yeah, I can't.
All right. So I don't need to hear anything. We can take that down.
Well, I am going to raise an objection to this. The discharge paperwork that she submitted indicated that there was an injury to her left hand. She's now shown 2 videos showing the contusion and she's showing left and the right hand, and primarily the right hand where there's some sort of scrape on it. I don't think this is a true and accurate description. If what the doctor said existed and what she reported to the doctor, then this is not a true and accurate description of what happened.
It is a true and accurate.
So hold on. So she's testified it's true and accurate. I think this is going to go to weight, an argument, and the weight of the evidence, at which time you can make that argument. But initially, anyway, she testified this is true and accurate depiction of her body on that day. So
Understood.
I will let it stand. Okay, so Miss Truitt,
Can we see her
so
hands right
after
now?
August of 2022, what happened?
That would have been a pro.
I had filed the TPO.
When?
I filed it. I can't remember the exact date, but I know it was right after. And then when I had my hearing, like in between that time, he had came in and we had made an agreement that I would stay in the home and he was going to move out the home. And so he was going to, he had came back crying. I had packed out all of my stuff up because I was preparing to move out of the home. And he had came back crying and saying that he didn't realize, you know, me and the kids wasn't going to have nowhere to stay. And he didn't want me to take my son away from him. So he wanted me to stay in the home with the kids. And he was going to pay for everything. He wasn't going to ask me about any more finances, that he was going to stop up. You know, that's when he said that. So when I had my hearing, that's why I dismissed that time, because that was the agreement we had, but he never left the home. He never moved out like he said he was. And then it was, are you going to take the bills over? And I'm like, okay, can I see the bills? He refused me access
Back
to
to
the
the money
bills.
again.
And then he refused me access to the lease. He said he didn't have it. And so I asked the I asked the property management if they can send him another copy of the lease, and he still refused me access to the lease. He wanted me to take it over, but he wouldn't show me what I was taking over. I didn't know what I would be paying, and I didn't have access again to the bills. He had changed the login. I had access back in June when he let me pay the past due, but then he changed the password and everything, and I asked him for the new password information. And that was also, I do have evidence that I already did submit to.
Okay, so what is that evidence of?
Me asking him for the new password information so that I can get access again, because he would change it right after I would have
What's
access.
that got to do with?
Okay, so well, I'll let Mr. Shapiro. So
Yeah, no, the lawyer.
Objection,
that's
it's
why you
not
hire him.
relevant to why we're here.
No,
so
not at all.
how is that relevant to whether acts of family violence have been committed against you?
It is relevant because he keep harassing me about the finances, but when I agree to pay, he doesn't give me access. And so that's
That's not family violence.
Hold on. Okay, so the disagreements about getting access to pay is not an act of family violence as recognized under the statute. So I understand that there are arguments about it, but evidence regarding, I'm going to sustain the objection as to any evidence regarding emails back and forth about getting access to the rental, the lease information at this time. Okay.
Okay.
Because y'all are still having communications during this time, right?
Yes, but we kept arguing about the bills and the bills.
I understand and I hear that.
Yeah, I couldn't pay. And so I couldn't pay what I didn't know. I didn't have access to pay. So that was the biggest thing. The whole argument was about finances. He wanted me to pay, but he wouldn't give me access.
Okay.
All right, move on from that.
Next?
So what happened next is I get a notice on the door. I got a knock at the door, and
again, this has nothing to do with it.
They filed an eviction notice against us because we hadn't been paying because I didn't have access to pay. And so I had asked them about that. And still,
is she just trying to prove financial abuse here? Is that
yeah,
and the whole thing has
some of that
been,
financial abuse.
Since August, it's been more financial abuse because
She said it.
asking me to pay, and we would come with an agreement. We would make an agreement. We would talk, and then he'll text me, and I'm like, "Wait, we just talked. Why are you trying to switch it?" And then he say, "Oh no, tell me what the agreement was again. Tell me what the agreement was again." And I'm like, and that's when I reached out to. It got to the point of it was very frustrating because I'm asking for this information that he's not given. And so I reached out to the Women's Center back in December, earlier December. I had given them a call to be a part of their legal clinic. So this was December 22nd is when they sent me the information. So I know they said it was in retaliation, but I had been in communication with the Women's Resource Center because it was a lot of back and forth, and I'm just trying to figure out how to go
the real thing,
forward.
Viking. She claimed.
I tried to move out the home when I had my first TPO, but he said, he was going to let me take over the lease, but I didn't see the lease to take over. I didn't see the bills. He wouldn't give me access to the bills. So I couldn't take anything over. I had an opportunity to leave and move. He unpacked my stuff. So I had to repack my stuff. He wanted me to leave, but then he wouldn't give me access to leave. So I consulted the Women's Resource Center, who put me on a clinic for January the 10th.
Oh, gee.
December 22nd is when they gave me the date for January the 10th. And the 29th is when I filed the TPO. Because it was a holiday, she didn't finish, she as in the representative from the Women's Resource Center, she didn't complete the TPO until when she returned back to the office, which was January 3rd. Now, from his paperwork where I was served on the 4th of January, he filed the 27th of December. On the 26th of December is when I found out about the different women and everything that was taking place. And so when I confronted him about it is when he filed for the legitimization papers. I didn't know about this legitimization until the new year until I got served on the 4th. So I had already been in communication with the Women's Health, the Women's Resource Center, because he kept sending me these messages every time I would ask him. I had an
Do you think
emergency
the Women's
dental
Resource
appointment
Center
where I had to have
could give her
surgery on the 3rd
financial
of
assistance
January.
too, in a way?
And I had
To
asked him
move
to
or
get my
something?
son because I
Maybe.
needed to get my mouth checked out. And that's when he just went haywire
She does.
and asked him, you know, calling me out my name. And then it's also evidence that I presented. And he says, "Oh, I know you've been going through a lot mentally." And I'm like, "Yes, because you're putting me through this for no reason."
Okay, what is this evidence that you're talking about?
Yes, it was a text message. It's P4. It's on P4.
And what are you alleging that this text message says?
Yes, so I had asked him to go get my son from school, and then he started calling me out my name, telling me I'm homeless and I'm unstable without him and all this other stuff. And I'm like, all of this because I asked you to go get my son.
Around what day was this?
This was around December 6th, I believe. It was a Thursday.
Your Honor, P4 has 7 pages with different types of text. I'm not sure what.
So
what
far,
she's
it's
referring
not
to.
going good, Grotto,
Okay.
at all.
Those
For
are
her.
the different text messages.
So how
Yeah.
many texts are you talking about, and when did they come in, and what are you alleging that they said?
Yes, so he and I'll pull them up too.
You don't have to read them because that wouldn't be, but you can just summarize for me.
Yeah, so he was
testimony.
just trying to call me unstable and everything, and I was working. So and I had volunteered for the homeless, and he says, how you're homeless without me, pretty much. So I'm trying to pull it up so that way I have the information.
Okay.
But it was several different.
It may be
messages,
a
and then
terrible
I stopped
relationship,
responding
but
because it was too much. He said
Let me ask this: are y'all at this point? Were y'all still living in the same residence?
Yes, we were still in the same residence.
Okay.
But also that week he had he took my son to Philadelphia, and they had came back, and he told me he was angry because, and that's in a text message, he was angry. He wanted to talk to me because he was angry. And the 5th, he told me physically, face to face, he was angry because the dealer had sold the truck he wanted to buy. So December 6th, he texted me that we need to talk. And I'm like, okay, so we talk.
Protection
He
order.
says, yeah,
Deborah.
I'm angry because you're not helping me with the bills. And I said, wait, you just told me the night before that you was angry because they sold the truck you was trying to get. And it was because he asked me for money to help with the purchase of his truck, and I didn't have it to give him because the bills were not paid. And I'm not giving you money for a truck when I don't even have a truck.
okay. I mean, I hate for us to miss any of this truck talk real quick, but again, we have to prove some sort of threatening behavior other than just arguing and him not giving her access to these bills, and that these are all things that can be heard in a different courtroom at a different time.
Not for again, she's hinted towards a few things that are like him throwing himself at her, when he comes home drunk. And then
pushed
she
her
was
down.
blasted by that, has no anything about it.
Yeah.
We're back to
She's
the money.
saying that's a summary. This is what she's saying is in these text messages back and forth.
I mean, it's nowhere in there, but that's fine. She can put the.
Do you have an objection to these text messages?
Well, I have an objection. I mean, if she wants to use just the first page, or tell me which of the pages, because they range from, it looks like February of 2022.
The first page.
That's the December page, the December 6th that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Eric is just,
Okay.
we
have no objection.
He didn't want these text
After
messages.
a while, I stopped responding, and then he says that he apologized, and I've been through a lot mentally. It's because he's been going back and forth with me about these bills, and I'm asking. It's not like I'm refusing to pay. He's refusing to give me access.
Okay, so I've heard about the bills and the issues.
No objection to the first page of.
Okay, so the first page is December 6th.
Yes, and then the third page, and I'm sorry, I did.
Judges tried a
get
few
assistance
times
with the
to
women's
corral
plan
her
to help
in
me put all of this
and try to get to the
together.
point. she's
It
still
was
just
done
going
out of
on about.
order.
She's letting
But
her
these
burn
are
herself out.
accurate.
It seems like at this point, she's getting frustrated. You see the judge getting a
Oh,
little frustrated.
And even William, who has
It
been
was
almost
page
stone faced,
three. Page 3 is
throwing
when he
some
asked me to
hands.
talk over the phone because he was saying he was
And
angry with
Eric's
me.
getting
And
a little
I couldn't
sassy.
understand why he was angry with me. And they was just in Philly. I was talking to him on the phone. They came back. The only reason he said he was angry.
Right? Yeah,
was
they got a
because
bad relationship.
now it was
Yeah,
angry because of
sucks.
the bills
Not
again.
good.
And I'm like,
He's probably a
how we
terrible
here
boyfriend,
again?
I'm sure.
And so it's just been back and forth mentally lately. And he says that. He says that. He knows that. He says that in a text message, the first page of P4.
That's a stretch for mental
When he
abuse.
apologized and telling me I should seek counseling, but I did the counseling with Regain that he refused.
And yeah, I'm sure he was controlling about the.
Your Honor,
few
I
things,
I don't know how to proceed. I
Yeah.
understand there's a lot of flexibility to pro se. This is all about that they're angry at each other. They're
Okay,
clearly.
no, I get that.
I'm not angry with no one.
So hold on. We're not going to talk. We're not. I know I was letting some back and forth. We're not going to do that. So he has a difficult time objecting to these because so first, are they relevant to acts of family violence? Maybe. The relationship of the parties, communications between them. I guess my question is, if she's saying these are texts that she received from him and that she's saying these are accurate, and do you have an objection to these texts?
Then I have no objection to the text now.
Okay, so if you do have one, you can renew it and I will disregard.
Okay.
All right, so if you want to, Madam Clerk, could you pull up, what is this, Exhibit 4?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
All right, Plaintiff's Exhibit 4, first page.
Oh, who wrote that book? My goodness. The first part is
So
about
who is who in this?
picking
Can you
up
please
Yes, so
explain?
the blue is me and the gray is him. I stopped responding because it was becoming too much. And so I just went to go pick up my son and I didn't respond to him. I stopped responding because it became too much. And then when I didn't respond, the last time I didn't respond, he sent the message apologizing. But you telling me I need counseling is because you starting these conversations out of nowhere. I only asked him to go get my son because I never been to this dentist and I didn't know how long I was going to be there. And I didn't want my son, they was letting him go early because of the holiday and I just needed someone else to pick him up. And he was off.
Okay, so there's several things here that may or may not. Do you have other text you want us to look at?
Yeah.
In this exhibit?
So sorry.
Yes, if you go down to page 4.
I'll send you a very long apology like William here did.
The December.
So page 4.
Yes, here.
Of Exhibit 4.
And that's when I told you he told me he needed to talk. So I said, okay. And he wanted to talk over the phone. And then that's when he told me he was angry and I couldn't understand why he was angry with me.
She said she stopped responding, but
And
a lot of
also,
blue.
this had led up to I was graduating that Friday. So all of a sudden he's mad at me. I'm supposed to receive my doctorate on that Friday. He's saying he won't be able to take my kids. And it was just so much. He stayed out the home several
Okay,
days.
so again, we need to, so what you're telling me is frustrating relationship things, but I have to hear evidence of acts of family violence as specified by the statute, okay?
Yes.
So I'm going to try to focus in a little bit more. What I'm looking at is this text of you communicating with him, saying you're not arguing with him and he will not be angry with you for failing. There's some conversation. I mean, there's some back and forth.
Yeah, because
and
he was
there's an
angry. He
eviction
didn't want to
notice.
talk to me. He didn't want to be here.
Okay, so he didn't want to talk to you and you are sending him these texts.
No, this was after we hung up because he hung up on me. I was just trying to figure out if you wanted to talk to me. I'm trying to talk to you.
Okay, he hung up on her
what do you
and now
want- what are
she's
you angry
harassing
with me
him.
for?
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay,
like,
so you sent him these texts and sent him a copy of the eviction notice?
Yeah, I sent him a copy of this eviction notice because I had got a knock on the door and I asked him, was he expecting anything? The whole
Okay.
time he's telling me he's been paying the bills.
Okay,
And-
again, I've heard that, and that may
Thank you,
not
Judge.
be,
Please, let's keep with
those
that.
are on their own are not acts of family violence. So I'm gonna ask you so what is the next set of texts that you want me to see?
Yes, so the next set was,
Mr. Shapiro, did you have an objection to that?
I mean, no,
Other
I guess
than-
I'll cross-examine her on it because it doesn't
Yes.
say anything that she's saying it says.
You will have that opportunity.
I'll have the opportunity. I know.
Okay, all right, Ms. Truitt.
so also page 4, out of nowhere, when I was out of town, he sends me a message that he's going to kick me out, that he was going to pack my stuff up. And I'm like, okay, I'm at a conference. I didn't know where it came from. So I didn't respond. I didn't respond until I got home. And when I got home that Sunday, that was that Saturday. When I got home that Sunday, he had stated he apologized. He was just frustrated. And I said, well, why are you sending me these messages? That's how I just get random messages from him. And it's like, he's trying to provoke me to do something. And I'm like, why did you send me a message telling me you're going to put me out? And I'm at a conference. So when I get home, everything's fine. And that's when, it just, then we celebrated his birthday. We tried to
The judge tried to stop this 5 times, Grotto. 5 times.
He was really drunk and he had fell asleep on the side of the road and I was trying to come get him.
Okay.
And then when we came back,
it happened.
He actually wound up bringing himself back. I don't know how he got back, but it's just been a lot mentally with him.
Okay, we can take this. Okay, I hear you. We can take this text down.
She's being so nice,
All
this
right.
judge is.
Is there any other evidence of acts of family violence that you
let it
would like to
go.
present?
Or any?
So I have,
all?
I
Please
presented,
don't.
I just want to make sure.
You made a great choice right there.
So I do
Welcome
want
to
to
the
know
fam,
that the
Friday night,
the whole
6 p.m.
argument
Eastern.
financially,
It's going
and
down.
everything that stemmed from it.
5:30.
I just found out the end of December why all of that happened from November of 2021, why all of that took place. I found that out in December of 2022. He was actually in a relationship with someone else that I didn't know about, and
There it
I
is.
do have proof of that I submitted.
Tell us about it.
So here's the thing: relationships with other people.
But it caused that. That's what I just.
You're talking about. It caused the financial.
It caused the financial strain because we never had a problem financially, and I couldn't understand why it just started. And he started questioning me in October, November of 2021. I found out he moved in with this individual in September. They started dating in September, and October is when he started sending her
not
payment.
abuse against you.
And she did send me proof of all of that, which I sent to court. And that's where that whole timeline makes sense to why our bills, he couldn't afford our bills.
It doesn't
and
matter.
It came, it was a lot of strain on us because
You weren't
he
married.
wanted me to pay when he didn't really ask me to pay because he made more than I did.
Okay. So, Mr.
You
Shapiro,
got a
if you
free
seek to
ride
introduce
for that
evidence
long.
of those bills and emails regarding the payments to another woman. Do you have an objection to that?
Relevance?
So I understand I'm going to have to sustain the objection as not
There we go.
relevant to
There
whether
we go.
acts of family violence have been committed against you. Understanding that doesn't mean anything's right. It just means or morally appropriate, or I'm not making any calls in any of those directions, but under the law, just a minute and let me finish, please. Under the law,
Shut up.
I think
infidelity is not, you've testified that he was,
she's gonna go off.
you've testified that he's not, was not being faithful with you.
She's gonna realize
but that on
this
its own is
going
not
good.
necessarily something I can take into consideration as relevant to whether he's committed an act of family violence against you. Okay.
That's where it started in November. November is where we
She won't stop.
the incident
Right
in
over.
Philadelphia happened.
She ain't hear
with the
nothing.
car and all of
November
that.
of 2021. Okay.
Yeah, because in October of
Okay.
2021 is when he started sending her payments, and then
Good, and I hope he
didn't
goes
have money
back to the
for her
DR and gets
here,
some
and it
more,
was that's
to be
where
honest.
everything
Yes.
started.
Okay,
And I
so
didn't
I understand that. I'm
deserve
not going to admit the evidence regarding that because that was November of 2021 and there was a petition in August that has then been dismissed. And now we're focusing on more recent acts of family violence and whether
Absolutely.
there's a reasonable likelihood of future acts of family violence. Okay. So I am going to sustain his objection as to that evidence. All right. Okay. Is there any other evidence you would like to present or testimony about any recent acts of family violence against you?
I'll just say recently, when I did file on January 3rd is when I had my January 3rd is when I had my surgery. I was getting ready for surgery and I was trying to tell him that morning, and he pushed me out his office door. I mean, out his room door, and he closed the door in my face and he said he was recording me. And I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to tell you what's going on and talk to you. So we, how can we co-parent if you're not going to talk to me? He slammed the door in my face. He said he was getting ready for work. So I asked him if he could
wants her
just
to leave him alone.
move the car. At this point, I have to figure something else out in regards to my son because he wasn't trying to talk to me. So there is a video where I had to call the police because on January 3rd, because he came in, I'm sitting waiting for my ride to take me to the dentist, and he starts recording me, yelling, "Why is my son not school? Why my son not in school?"
Oral
And
surgery. Okay, not
he's
real
yelling,
surgery.
and it scared my daughter and my son. My daughter ran in her room and she was scared, and my son was crying. So I had to call the police because he was trying to take my son. And I said, "Where are you taking him?" And he said, "I'm taking him to school." I said, "Well, how are you taking him to school? He's supposed to be at work." He said, "Well, why is he not in school?" And I said, he wasn't in school because of how the holiday schedule had been. And because I was getting surgery, he doesn't get off in time to get my son. So that's why I kept him home that day. And so when the officers come, he's telling the officers that he's tired of me, he can't stand me, he's going to evict me. I need to go somewhere. I need to, like, that's in the video. The video is there.
And all those things are fine.
And I'll tell you exactly which video it is because it led to him saying he was going to evict me, which he did because he didn't
again
because he refused to pay. He didn't pay January, and that's why we got the eviction filed, and I have to respond by the 13th of February, which I also included in evidence.
So even if I were to grant one today, I'll let you know. I'm not, since y'all are not married. Even if I were to grant one,
I'm on it.
That doesn't prevent any eviction process as it stands regarding the lease. Okay.
Right.
And that's not what this process is for.
Right. Right. Now I'm just saying that's what happened. He was saying he was going to evict me. And so he refused to pay the rent, and we got an eviction notice. And he also, I had told the officer that I was in the process of filing a TPO, and they had explained to him what that TPO was. And from January 3rd until he still came back, even though the officers left that night, he came. The next day I got served. He still was in the home. He had slept in the home. And so
Toy mom, 5
when I was
bones.
granted
Thank
the
you, Toy
actual
Mom.
TPO, on the 7th, he had came back again. And that's the video I have too. On the 7th, where I had called the officers and they said that they were waiting for the sheriff to come to serve him. And he said he was going to go down to Memorial Drive so he can be served. He was going to go right after there. And they told him, well, if you don't get served, they're going to keep trying to get you until you get served.
Objection, hearsay.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Eric.
you can't talk. So did he commit an act?
No, it's in a video.
So hold on.
The video.
So the video you're talking about is which video are you talking about?
Yes. So
she's got the judge just like
you still can't say what
flustered.
someone else said.
No, I'm not. It's in the video.
you can't say what someone else said on a video. If the video is played, it may or may not be. But the point, so if he was he served, had he been served with the TPO at this point?
No, they was waiting for the sheriff. They was waiting for the sheriff.
So what is this video evidence of?
The video is him evidence of knowing that he had a restraining order against him, and he voluntarily said he was going to get served on the 7th, but he didn't. Instead, he continued to come in the home knowing there was a restraining order against him.
It's a cookbook.
And he didn't get served until the 23rd when he called the police and told them I was withholding his son and that he knew about the restraining order and that he had a gift for my son.
She's done.
This was the 23rd, but on the 20th he had came and removed a lot of stuff. So in between the 7th and him calling,
oh, we so needed Judge Manning for this.
He kept coming into the home and just trying to cause havoc.
Over already.
Okay, but he had not been served. So was there a video before then that you're talking about?
Gotta take control.
Him saying he's going to evict you.
Gotta stop her.
Okay, what video? What exhibit is that?
Yes, that is.
Your Honor, this is the video she's saying that when she spoke to the police after she swore out a protective order and she continued to interact with my client. So
I didn't interact with him.
Hold on, don't respond.
So first of all, I honestly, I think that may actually be a violation of the actual protective order she's seeking, even though my client hadn't been served yet. And whether or not he knew that she swore out a protective order is not relevant. The only relevant thing is he hadn't been served.
I'm talking about the video where he is yelling in her presence that he's tired of her to the police and he can't stand her and he's going to evict her.
I'll if that was directed at her, that's fine. I'll listen.
So is that so what is that?
I haven't seen that one.
Yes. So that is P8.
Does she have it?
Okay.
Does it really?
Do you have P8?
I mean,
she said over and over that she had things she didn't have.
No, I think that was one that did not come through.
Okay. What are you saying is on this exhibit P8?
So that was the video of the officer informing him of the TPO and those requirements. And let me see. I'm gonna try to forward it.
So here's the thing: if he hasn't been served, they don't.
I'm sorry. I do have P8, Judge, and it's fine to play.
Okay. All right. So we will admit P8 without objection. Could you please pull up P8 room if you see it?
Were you trying to say he violated it after it was served? I'm confused on this.
P9.
Yeah, because it's
okay. Miss Broom, sorry. P9, please.
Oh, P9.
We just said P8.
Yeah. What a shit show.
I think P9 she already played. That was the picture of her showing her hands.
She's showing her hands, showing the stigmata.
She want to show P9 again?
One second, because it's how they have it. It's how they help me put it together, and it's out of the order that I had it. So 1 second. I'm just trying to get it.
She has a video of him leaving. I'm pretty sure she said that and that.
Oh, it's P7.
Cops at the door.
P7.
P7. Sorry.
Oh,
that would be one I don't have, but
let's go with it.
Play it subject to my objection.
All right, thank you. We can pull up P7.
Whatever you're saying, so just represent for that.
That's okay. That's okay. That's all right.
Like she said, just get on what. Daddy, go down to the sheriff's office and just take care of that as well. They'll serve you over there.
Yeah, where's the sheriff office?
It's going to be on off Memorial Drive.
Not
Yeah, what's the sheriff office? DeKalb County. Okay. All right. See you later, man. All right.
All right.
All right.
Now get that out of here.
That sure made him look real good. Calm and cool, taking care of his kid.
Very calm.
Super dad.
Now, hopefully, he does the right thing and go ahead and to the sheriff's office. And,
Okay, is there anything else that just showed them telling him about the TPO?
What did
that
that
was
show?
not served yet, but that
The
had
other video was P5.
P5.
Yes.
Haven't been served.
And is this an additional video?
That was the video where he said he was going to evict me. That was that video.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right.
But
Any
subject to the
objection at this
same-
point? Okay. So P7 is admitted without objection. P5 we can pull up tentatively, no
Just like
objection.
he's exhibiting in court today through the whole thing so far.
I understand that.
So y'all go to court and get something solidified,
Right.
Joint custody, split custody, whatever the case may be, then that's the different.
So she don't need to tell me where. She don't have to tell me anything in regards to my son.
She doesn't have to technically, but it would be a courtesy for her to.
I was trying to.
So where is he going to be?
I'm not telling you now. You evicted me, and I'll try to talk to you.
I am evicting you, yo,
Okay.
and you will be out my house.
Okay.
So you need to get your shit together.
Okay.
So, but like I said, that's
Yeah.
where we're at right now. So you already know what you got to do. You know what you got to do. So just do what y'all got to do. All right. But like I said,
Why are they both rubbing their hands so much?
I don't know. That's weird.
All right. Well, when are you gonna move out this house?
You need to leave.
Sorry, let's go.
You need to leave.
Like I
You know
said,
what I mean?
you
I'm
gotta-
just saying, man. She got that shit
All right.
together, man. You know what I mean? I got you. You're in the way, and I'm sorry. This shit frustrating because she's living off of it. You know what I mean?
No, you process.
Judge,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to register an objection.
I'm
The
just-
Okay,
testimony
what's your
was this
objection?
is the
I don't want him
this
in
was
here
the
with my
same
stuff.
time
I
as
don't
the
want
other
him in
video,
here with my
and this
stuff.
is clearly two different times. There, one was at
So
9
this was January the
Please let me
3rd.
finish my objection.
Hold on. Let him finish.
She testified as to when these had. She said this was the same occurrence, and this was
didn't.
clearly two different times.
So can you explain? So what is your response, Ms. Truitt?
Yes, I said the video of him saying he was going to evict me was January 3rd. That's the day I was trying to explain to him, and he shut the door in my face and he pushed me out his room and shut the door in my face and started recording me. I had asked him, and when he came back, I had asked him to move his truck, which you see in there, the video, but he later came back and said he was trying to take, that's when he was trying to take my son, and I called the police. The police showed up, and that's, a part of what happened there
Okay.
when he was telling him he was going to evict me. The video that you seen previous to that was January 7th. So that was after the order was served. Well, the court had granted the order, but he hadn't been served. And I called for them to serve him, but they were waiting for the sheriff. And so they explained to him how he can go get served. And he said he was going to go do that at Memorial Drive. And he confirmed that he was going to do that. Between January the 7th and he came back, he kept coming back.
Okay, hold on. Let's get to the video.
That's fine. That- as long as that I'm fine with that,
Super
Judge.
messy.
Okay, so the videos from the 3rd and the 7th are admitted without objection. Okay, so
I'm starting
All
to
right,
think
was
that
he-
too, golf and guns. Maybe a little bit.
up until he was served with, up until that video on January 3rd, was he still living at that residence?
He after the 7th, he didn't stay there overnight. He didn't come back to live. He just kept coming in, I guess, to see my son. And I put a lot of things by the door. So he
His son
still
too,
knew
right?
he wasn't supposed to come in. He would come in through all of that stuff. And I would ask him, why are you here?
When you say he wasn't supposed to come in, what are you talking about?
Because we had the order out, but even though
I'm saying before the order.
Before the order.
Before it was served.
So before the order was he came on the 7th. So the
No, I'm
3rd
saying before you got the order, was he living at that residence?
Oh yes, he was living here.
Okay, that's my question. Okay.
Yeah. I
All
don't
right.
know how she said that at
Okay.
all.
So
Yeah.
other than those incidents, what else do you need the court to know about the recent acts of violence?
Yes. So there's been a history with him in violence with his other son's mother. And to protect myself and my kids after what we've been through, I have to get my son counseling. I actually
How
seek
is
the
she
counseling, so
allowing
he's
this
in the process of getting
continue?
counseling. And because my daughter is scared to be in his home, I'm asking for a permanent protection order.
Oh, not even 12 months.
Because
It's permanent.
this has, affected my kids in so many ways as well as myself. and I'm attempting to move out of this property. I should be moved out of the property in the next 2 weeks. I should be completely gone out of this property. I'm just asking for a protection order because of the information I presented and the information before. I don't want any retaliation against me or my family because he also reached out to my mother. And I just don't want any situations. I just want to move forward peacefully with my kids. And I don't want to deal with this the way it's been the past couple years. I've never been in no domestic situation, and I don't intend to remain in a domestic situation.
Okay.
It seems like he's
All right,
moved on.
Mr. Shapiro, you may cross-examine.
Definitely.
Before I do that, Your Honor,
keeping a roof
I'd move to
over his
dismiss.
kid's
I
house.
don't think she's made her prima facie evidence that there's been any contemporaneous acts of violence in time when she filed this. It was 6 months ago. The only allegation, whether or not the court gives that any credence, but the alleged act.
He's a fan.
Regardless of the cross-examination.
He's just going to ask right now for her to dismiss
happened
it.
6 months ago. They continue to cohabitate. They continue to co-parent, possibly portally, which is why we have a pending legitimation action, and clearly she wants to move out. In addition, aside from not being contemporaneous, I don't think there's been any testimony that it would happen again, because the only thing that she really testified to as actual violence was in August.
No, she testified to. So I did hear testimony about a couple of incidences in the past, and there's not necessarily a strict limitation on when
I
the
understand
previous
that.
time has occurred.
No, the November that he closed the trunk, the electron on the SUV, which if you have one or have used a minivan or SUV, they don't slam close. You press the button and it
creep
closes.
down.
I've got
Depends on what year you have.
Well, maybe that's true. But either way, her own testimony was that she accused him of it, and he said, "I didn't do that." And if it was, she got in the car with him. I mean,
So, and you
it
know,
does
the
not
cycle of
seem-
violence, people do make up and then things happen again. So also I've heard testimony about being pushed out of a doorway. That was more recently. So I'm going to allow you to cross-examine her.
Very well.
Wow.
Hold on just a second.
I did not expect that.
I didn't see that coming either. I thought we were just at the end.
Well, ma'am, I obviously we spoke earlier today, and
I will be
myself. My name is Eric Shapiro, and I'm representing Mr. Ross.
Overtime, kids.
I'm going to try to focus on the allegations that actually have to do with family violence. I understand you guys aren't getting along as far as maybe parenting or the financial circumstances, and the court can give whatever credence that she wants to that. With regard to the November 2021 allegation, you said he closed the trunk door. It was an SUV or a minivan. What was it you were driving?
It was an SUV.
Okay. Do you know what year the SUV was? It a rental?
Yeah, it was a rental. I don't know. He rented the vehicle. I don't know.
So
Year.
it had to have been fairly
very
new.
new
They don't
model.
rent out 10-year-old cars, correct? You wouldn't know. Never mind. When you say he closed the door, so he pressed it and it started beeping and closed down on you, correct?
It didn't beep. It just came down on me. And then
Speaking of
also he
beeping.
refused entry for me and my daughter to get in the car.
But you said you got in the car.
Yeah,
Your testimony
but that was
let
after
me finish,
we
let
were
me finish,
pulling on a
please.
door.
Please,
Hold on,
ma'am,
let him
Ms.
finish
Stewart,
and then you can
please
answer.
let me finish the question. Okay, your testimony was he did let you get in the car and you knew he was drinking, correct? Yes or
It
no?
smelled like it smelled like he was
Okay.
drinking, and he went and he just
So
sped off. He went
You
and
got in the car.
I'm
knowing
talking
he had
to
been
because
drinking.
my son was in the car. Yes, my son was in the car.
Um,
I was talking to him and asking him, like, "Are you okay?" I asked him, and he did not want to let me drive. He did not. He just started speeding off, and that's why I had my family on the phone so that we can be safe. And then I called 911.
Okay. Was he arrested?
They did not arrest him, but they did say that they was going to.
Objection. You can't tell me what
Okay.
they said. I'm just asking.
They
was he
held him.
arrested?
They held him so that way we could get to the space, but he was irate in front of them. Yes.
Okay, but he wasn't arrested. He wasn't given a DUI or anything like that.
Mm-mm. Not that I know of. I'm not sure what happened.
How did you get
In
home?
regards
How
to
did you
the
get home
DUI.
from? You guys went to Philly together,
We did.
and how'd you get back?
I had to rent a separate vehicle to get
I mean,
back.
how did you get back to Atlanta?
I just told you I had to rent a separate vehicle the next day
So
to
you
get
drove.
I
you
drove
all the way
myself.
back by yourself.
I drove myself and my kids back in a separate vehicle because I refused to get in a vehicle with him. My kids were terrified.
Okay.
And he
But you
refused to
came-
apologize.
But you came back to Atlanta and you guys continued to live together.
I don't hear
No.
anything, Vinny.
He went back to Tennessee where he was working, and I went back to Atlanta.
So he hasn't been living in Atlanta since November of 2021?
No, he was going back and forth. He was working out of town. I pretty much had the home. So he would come on the weekends and see my son and leave. But he wasn't staying in the home every single day.
All right, Mr. Shapiro, I'm going to ask that your client remain on screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Yes.
All
There you
right, go ahead.
Sorry, Judge. So he's working in a town, so he's coming back and forth.
Yeah, but he
Okay.
was coming back and forth, but he had a home, he had a place to stay in Tennessee.
Okay.
So even on our agreed times when he was supposed to get my son, he wouldn't get my son.
Okay. But he, okay,
I don't know.
I'm very confused then. So you're saying he was here and you wanted him to use him to get your son, correct?
I object.
I'm trying to understand, how often was he here? Was he acting as a parent? Was he taking care of your
Good to
son?
see you,
Was he
Deb.
doing things around the house?
Hold on. What is your objection? You can push the unmute. There we go.
Yes. So my objection is he's trying to paint it a different light as what I wanted him to spend more time with my son.
Yeah.
There's no reason why two parents are in
He's
the
trying to
same
paint
home
it in a
and he's
different
not able to have that relationship he needs. So I was trying to get him to have a better relationship with my son because my son would always cry every time he leaves. I asked him if he could get a job in Atlanta, and that's when he finally was able to get a job later in 2022.
I believe that.
But I was trying to, I'm a big advocate for fathers being in kids' life. My father been in my life up until he was deceased. So I'm very big on that. I always ask him to legitimize himself so my son can have that relationship and with him. And I understand there's a lot of things he need to work on, and I want him to work on those things. But at the meantime, I want to make sure my son is safe and protected for what he see. I don't want him to think certain things are acceptable and it's not. I was never brought up like that, and I don't want my son to be brought up like that. But do I want to take my son's father out of his life? I do not, but I want my son's father to get better. I want him to be get counseling because he, is a lot of things that transpired to even
and I appreciate all of that, but none of it answered my question.
it
Was he living in the house?
Circles.
That's all I want. I mean,
he was coming to visit the house. He didn't live every day in the home.
He's just visiting
How
the house.
often was he coming back and forth?
Sometimes he would come every other weekend. It wasn't like weeks at a time.
So he was back on the weekends.
Yeah, some weekends or
Okay.
some weekends he would go to
All
Philly.
right, I'm just trying to get, so when you guys were together, then this is after November of 2021. He was back and forth. He was still in the house, correct?
After November, he didn't come back until close to Christmas. He came Christmas weekend, around Christmas weekend.
After November of 2021, he was out of the house for almost an entire year?
No, November 2021, after the whole incident happened in Philadelphia, he went back to Tennessee. He didn't come back until late December.
But he, and then from December through
he went back.
December of
He went back to
2022.
Tennessee. So he came for this. He came in December around Christmas. His other son had came to visit for the Christmas break and was supposed to spend a week with us. And his son came that Monday and he was supposed to spend a week, but he changed his mind and decided he wanted to take his son back that Tuesday night. So they left, and his son was only there for about 2 or 3 days. After that, he left. Also, which I would like to
New Orleans.
include is that
Yeah.
he
She
did
don't
have
like
a.
that.
You're not okay.
I
Maybe,
am
maybe
answering
I'm
your
not
question.
making myself
He wasn't there
clear.
long. He was only there until his son had came down. His
But
older
he was
son
he
came down.
he
He
for a
wasn't there
year
long. He was there a few days. He was there a few days.
from November 2021 until
this timetable
December 2022.
No, Mayor,
this
yeah,
past
his
December.
hands are definitely
I'm
not
sorry.
clear.
I'm talking about
He
that
has a
year.
terrible
your
relationship. He's a little
13
bit of a
months.
POS as well.
You're saying he was back and forth every
Horrible
other weekend
boyfriend.
or so.
Again, we're here
at the
for a
house.
protection.
So he
protective
was
order.
from okay, I'm sorry, I misread. I misheard
Keep
your
that in
question.
mind.
I was
Remember what
thinking
we're here for.
from November
Yeah.
2021 to December 2021. He was still living in Nashville until April of 2022.
Was he coming back to
On the
attend?
week, he would come every other weekend. Sometimes he wouldn't come because
And
he
he was
said he had
paying
to
the
work.
rent,
Or
by
it
the
was-
way, this
he didn't
entire
always
time.
come.
Still paying the
I
rent.
don't know
He came.
exactly. I don't have a history
And yes,
of
he
every
was staying there.
every
I'm
weekend he
almost
came.
certain
There
of
was
it.
some weekends
She
he
won't
didn't.
say it,
That's
though.
why we would go back and forth because he said he had to go to Philly to see his other son, which I found out he never seen him. And he went out of town, and it's a lot of the things he didn't. Those weekends he didn't come, and I don't have that noted.
Okay, all right.
But he
all right.
wasn't there
I'm gonna
every
move
single
along.
day
I'm not.
in the home.
That's okay. That's okay.
She won that one.
Um,
She's beating him down right
I'm
now.
not following.
I'll ask it bluntly. Do you guys have sex?
Forcefully, he said we weren't together. And he
Okay.
would come in the room. I told you, he would come into my locked room and we was indifferent. He would be drunk and he would come and force himself on me. I didn't want to have sex with him. We didn't have that type of relationship.
Did you report that to the police?
I did not report it because I didn't want him to get in trouble.
Did you report that to your counselor?
I did.
And that counselor did not report it to the police?
I don't know if she reported it to police or not.
As far as you know, he's never been investigated.
We only had one session with her because he didn't want to meet with her no more. She actually stopped on that platform and he didn't want to continue with her anyway because I had disclosed that information to her.
He was sleeping with the
So
counselor.
she
too, by
had
the way.
removed us as her clients and we had to get a new counselor. And
Dang, got kicked out by the counselor.
I briefly talked about it because I understood that he didn't like me talking about it, but I didn't want to make a scene and my kids are there. My daughter is there. I don't want her to understand what's going
There's
on.
still
and,
proper time
make a
to
big scene about it.
not make a
So,
big scene,
and
but
I'm
still.
telling him and he's telling me he don't remember.
All right, let's talk about the August incident that's referenced. Did you call the police?
In August?
Yes.
No, he had my phone.
They kept your phone from you?
He had, Mr.
Isn't
Ross
that the
had
one
my
he called the
phone.
police?
I could not call the police. He took my phone. That's how he thought I was recording him. He took
Okay.
my phone out. He called the police and
You
he
went
held
to
my phone
the-
until the police officers arrived.
Okay, you went to the emergency room.
Yes.
You took video.
hmm
You took video with your.
My phone.
That's what I'm saying.
When the officers
Did you
arrived,
call the police?
I couldn't. I didn't have my phone. He had my phone in his hand. When the officers came to the location, she told him, "You cannot take her phone. Give her her phone back." And that's how I
Who
was
called the
able to get my
police?
phone
How did the
back.
police get there?
He called the police
Thank you.
because he thought
You
I
never
was
filed a
recording
police
him, and
report.
Let her finish her answer.
I apologize.
He called the police and she said, "Miss Truitt, can you open up your phone and show us your phone?" I did that right in front of the police officer and she seen I wasn't recording. I wasn't recording him. She said, "You can't take her phone." He thought I was recording him and that's why he took my phone. I had to go. I had phones that were not in service but had access to Wi-Fi and I could call my mom through Duo, but I couldn't call the cops through them. So I called. I had my
You can
mom
call
on
on
video
any
on the
phone.
Duo phone
Any
through
phone.
Wi-Fi.
911 will go
And
right
he
through
had
it.
already dispatched the officers.
Straight on
The
Wi-Fi.
officers were
Doesn't need to
already
be
at the home.
nothing.
So the officers came to the house after you were allegedly injured,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Before you went to the emergency room.
Yes.
Okay. And you told the police that he injured you, correct?
Yes.
And they arrested him.
No, they didn't arrest them. They asked us to both figure out who was going to leave the home. And I wasn't leaving because most of my stuff was there. I lived there full time.
Okay.
So I
So
didn't leave the home.
You went to the hospital. You told them you were injured by my client, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why
the
it says
hospital
that on the
discharge
paper.
sheet says you were injured on your left hand. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. On the video you showed, but 2 videos of your hands, and you specifically showed.
Yeah, my
the
left hand was swollen. My left hand was
No.
swollen.
Okay, then I'll ask the court to please bring up. I believe it was P4.
I thought that was
actually no. I'm not sure. You know what? I
ventilation
don't remember which video
phone.
it was anymore.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Well, let's let you ask your question again, and then don't interrupt him, and then you can answer his question. Okay.
The question is, the video I saw, and we can bring it back up, shows you focusing on the swollenness of your right hand. It shows you showing the left hand too, which doesn't appear to show any swollenness. But the right hand, so were the doctors wrong? Did they not know which your hand was?
That's a video. So when you have it turned a certain way, it mirrors the opposite.
No.
Yeah, because
Okay,
of how I
think we need to.
Both of my hands, my nails were damaged. Both of my hands
were damaged
from my nails being removed, but my left hand was more swollen because of the damage, with me falling and everything. So that's why they had that noted.
Okay, then I'd like the court to replay that video so you can take a look at it again.
She said he pushed her.
All right.
And she fell down.
Y'all have which one it was? Well, thank you, Miss Broom.
That's the
That
one
would
right
be it.
there.
So now which hand is that we're looking at?
That's my left hand.
Okay, please play the video.
Yeah, it's not mirrored.
I'm recording because my
You can
hands
see
are
the
swollen.
writing is correct.
They hurt.
Yeah.
My body hurt. My face is swollen.
I can't come to school today. I got
My face
diarrhea.
is swollen on my left side, and it hurts.
Remember, she said she had to have oral surgery
Which
done.
hand is that?
That's my right hand, but I was showing it got bruised right there.
And that bruise and that swollen is not referenced on the discharge papers, are they?
A result of
It's referenced on the discharge. Yes, it is.
Okay, please stop the video and pull up, I believe it is P4.
The left hand pain, and they did say.
Thank you. Hang on just a second, please. If I could ask
all of
the
that
court
came
officer,
as a result.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, we can pull up. Is it
P4, I believe. Is it P4 or P2?
No, it didn't. But if she had
Might
swelling
be
on her
P2.
face,
Hold
remember
on.
she said she had to
it is
have oral
P2.
surgery, so it meant she had something wrong with her teeth
P2.
in the 1st place.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm correct, this happened before she had the oral surgery done. But I really didn't
Reason
see
for
no swelling.
visits: assault, multiple contusions, and left hand pain.
That's my left hand.
Is there anything about your right hand?
They didn't say my nails were off, but that was noted.
Is there anything about your right
bruising.
hand
How do your
or showing that there was a
nails-
scrape on your right hand or anything about your right hand?
He did. I don't know if he noted it here. I thought he did.
It's a simple yes or no. You can
1 second.
embellish after if you'd like.
What is the deal with the nails?
Your Honor, the documents will speak for itself. That's fine.
Yeah,
He
if
proved
he,
his point.
it's
I
clear
think.
that it happened because, if they noted
It's
it, that
clear.
was a mishap of them noting it, but it was physical damage that happened. I showed the night after and the morning after. I'm not going to lie about something like that.
Oh, sure you won't. If her nails popped off,
After
yeah,
that incident,
they're fake nails, not her real nails.
you guys began living again together. I know there were still disputes about who was paying for what, but you still live together, correct?
He said he was moving out. He kept telling me he was going to move out, and he never gave me an exact date. So and then he finally told me he didn't have nowhere to move to. So it was back and forth. Then he went out of town, and then I don't know where he was going when he was going away from the home, but he wasn't there all the time.
It's
He
not your
wasn't there all
problem.
the time.
Who's
No.
paying when he
Not at
wasn't
all.
there? Who was paying for the bills?
Nobody paid from August, September. That's when we got the eviction notice in October. Nobody paid. Nobody was
So
paying because I didn't
no
have
rent
access.
has been paid since August of last year?
August 2022 and September 22, nobody paid. I didn't have access. He had changed the access code for
You're not-
utilities,
okay.
and I never had access to pay.
I'm trying to be specific. Has the rent been paid? Was it paid late after August?
August he did, not August, October.
He
He
paid
had made it
August, September, and
October.
October.
Yeah, he had made an arrangement with the place.
So in
that he
October,
could
he called
pay
it
rent.
all up. August.
Because he had got a
September.
new job in September, and he told me that, he was going to be able to pay because he could afford it at this new job that he had
Okay.
just got.
Just
So
out
I
of
didn't have to
curiosity,
worry about that.
just out of curiosity, do you work?
I do work.
What do you do?
I don't want to disclose that, but I do work. I do work. Yes.
Your Honor, she's made an enormous deal.
I work.
Please stop for a second. Your Honor, she's made an
I'm trying to
enormous
answer
deal
your
about
question.
the finances of the family. I think it's a legitimate question because she keeps saying he doesn't do the X, Y, and Z.
Okay,
I'm going to disclose that.
so you do or do not?
I do work. I do work.
Where do
What
you work?
area do you work in, or how many hours a week do you work generally doing what?
At the time, I work about 40 hours. I work in finance.
And for who do you work?
I'm not going to disclose that with him on the line.
Okay.
What? Why?
Go ahead and tell him why.
For my privacy. I don't want any harassment or anything. Why would he? No. Before I was working in a home, before my current position I have now, I was working in a home. I had worked in a home for 3 years. I had different roles. When all of this was happening, I was working as a health insurance agent for a healthcare company.
All right. How much were you earning?
It was different projects I was on. It depends. Different projects.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll have fun in the legitimation portion of it. All
right, don't need the commentary.
Oh, roasted.
I think we're going to be really even more triggered.
Do you have
after
any police reports
judge
from
makes a
any
ruling.
of the
I hate to
incidents that
say
you
that.
allege?
I do.
Feeling.
Did you submit them as evidence?
I didn't realize I didn't until actually today. I didn't realize I didn't. But I do have those police reports. I do have a copy.
That is a good one. Yeah. I work in finance, so I can't get my bills paid.
You're planning on moving out? You said.
Yeah.
That was your testimony.
In 2 weeks, yes.
All right. And you're not going to tell them where you're going.
No.
Okay.
And I would just interject there because I don't want her to feel threatened. She doesn't.
And right now I do.
No, she doesn't know. I'm not saying she had to at all.
Okay, I'm just letting everybody know that, making sure that everyone's
If
real
he doesn't
clear
know
on
where
that.
if he doesn't know where you are, what's the likelihood that he's going to be violent towards you again?
Well, he knows where I'm at now in the home. He knows where I'm at now in the home. And that right there until I move. And then you're asking me to disclose my current employment, which I do not want to for safety reasons. So I'm asking that I object to that.
And those two things that the judge brought
Judge,
up,
I have nothing
think she
further.
believes.
Okay, Ms. Truitt, do you have any other
When she brought that up, it was weird.
thing based
It
on
really
the
was. It
questions
was
she asked
out
you? Do you
of
have
nowhere,
anything else
too.
you need the court to know or
about the
explain?
two alleged things that had
Just
no.
that, I don't
truth
want
behind it.
this to, I don't want this to be ongoing with him. I have a great co-parenting relationship with my daughter's dad. I don't have a problem with parenting or co-parenting. I actually help other families do different things in regards to this area. So I'm not sure why we're having a hard time because I actually suggested him to get the legitimization. I told him about the father's program. I told him about the legitimization. So it was never me hindering him. It was always the fact of the past 2 years
Imagine
with
this,
him keeping me
her
from the
calling you
bills
on the
and
phone about a debt or something.
I did pay the bills. I do have evidence of paying the rent and everything. It was just that I couldn't have it in my name because he said everything needed to be in his name, and that's when everything just went left. And so I just want them to know it wasn't in retaliation to a legitimization case, because I had already been in communication with the Women's Resource Center in regards to what's been going on.
We've heard this already.
I just want the court to know that
Just running in circles. Amber, thank you.
because he plays a lot of mind games,
you,
and I just want to protect myself and my family. He's unstable mentally and physically, and I just don't want him getting drunk.
He's
and then
unstable physically?
Something happened to me or my family. My family did have a case where we had someone in domestic violence. So with all of my family being out of town, they're always worried. So I just need to be protected.
Okay. We got it.
All right, Mr. Shapiro, do you and your client have any evidence you would like to present?
No client's testimony, Judge.
Okay, all right. And you've talked with him about anything said, if there are any future criminal proceedings could be used against
Steve,
him.
it's getting dark here. So the
Absolutely.
storms are rolling.
Okay, and you've had that conversation? All right.
Actually, I didn't have it specifically because I don't think there's any testimony he's going to give that would potentially incriminate himself.
Okay, well, I would ask that you just have that conversation with him beforehand, just so he's
Yeah, a
aware.
little boy, I guess.
Okay, William, you have a
We'll put
right.
you on a breakout room for
She
3
has.
minutes.
That's fine.
She has someone with the. Hopefully, she won't cut this, and I have to bounce around waiting for it to come back. She's got a child with another man, a daughter. So that's who's living in the home. Wow, she's really big on the screen now. And she's got a child with him, a little boy. Now, I'm starting to think like Creed, like he's gonna have to try and win this right here because he's.
I actually think he's. I just the way that the judge is being about this, I don't have a good feeling.
I don't either.
I don't think that she's brought any evidence. I don't. I understand, and again, I'm going to go back to this. He is no saint.
No.
So any things that we're saying about her,
anything she said about him as far as his cheating and being gone all the time, and you know all these other things, I believe that 100% that he's probably done all those things.
Yeah.
He's probably yelled at her plenty of times. I have a feeling she's done some yelling too.
And he probably broke that door. But I mean, okay, so he's got a bad. I mean, yeah, some couples fight and stuff, but he's not stalking her. He's very cordial with her from everything that we've seen and the evidence that she has put forth.
It sounds like he's living out of state. He hasn't been back over to her house since the TPO has come out. You know, she's about to take it to the point where she doesn't let him know where she's at. So he's not going to be able to be in her, the child's life. I don't know if we've got the results back from the legitimacy hearing part yet.
Do that because she had mentioned that a few times. I don't like how she threw in well, I feel that way right now. Like how she just said that she's, not saying we're working and stuff. I mean, again, oh man, this one's a tough one.
I mean, if she had presented some evidence where he was making death threats to her,
anything,
threats of violence,
him raising his voice in a video, how do you not have that? I mean, the worst thing that we really saw was him saying, "When are you gonna leave? I want to evict you," basically.
I'm tired of paying. It is boiled down to him basically being, I'm tired of paying rent for a place for you to stay. You need to move out and get on your own, get your own place. But I feel like the judge may frown on that he doesn't want to pay for a place, he's putting, them out on the street. And that's not even the case. I think he paid long enough for a place for them to stay. Obviously, he's moved on to another woman.
I feel as if after they broke up, she's still insanely jealous about anything that happened relationship-wise that he's done.
She's bringing up him sleeping with women in the DR. She's bringing up him, seeing this other woman.
She also said that she had proof of him soliciting sex in the DR.
Yes. The solicitor. And Judge is not young by any stretch of the imagination. I
Let
saw
me
some
bring
people
that,
saying she was a
petitioner back
teenager.
in.
Yeah, no.
Far from it. Far from it.
Well, you're sideways, Mr. William. All right, there you go. And any given Eric Shapiro crap, I think he's done pretty good. He's hemmed her up on a few things, but although he did back down on a few too, because again,
Mr.
she's
Shapiro, have
wearing
you
you
had a chance
down.
to speak with your client?
I think he's done all
Oh,
right.
you're muted. I think they mute you when you come back in.
I have, Judge.
Okay, thank you. All right, you may swear if y'all have had that decision, and can you tell me if he's decided he would like to testify?
He would absolutely like to testify.
Okay, so if you could, you can
He's gonna
unmute, and if you
testify
could
now.
swear him in, you may
Okay.
ask your questions.
All right, William, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to try to, again, as I told you, try to keep this a little more streamlined. I want to talk about some of the specific allegations that the petitioner made about your behavior. I'm going to turn your attention to November.
Especially you got an
of
attorney that's being paid by the
2021.
hour.
Were you visiting Philadelphia with the petitioner and your son?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember closing the trunk door on her?
I hit the button and the door started to close down on her, but that was just an accident. I never tried to close the door on her, you know. And it was a newer model that you hit the button and it beeped and it closed down. I think that was just something that was kind of, you know,
And if it hits
something
anything,
that
it
was just
stops.
made bigger than what it was. But I apologize to her.
She got in the car, you guys went off.
Yeah, she got in the car and then we continued to drive to the hotel.
Yeah, her allegation was you had been drinking and that she had the police pull you over.
I wasn't drinking, and she did call the police. I called the police also so that I wouldn't be approached abruptly by the police officers. So they pulled us over and
No, it's no
they
beeps, man.
understood that we were just having an argument.
It's on her side.
You know,
They
they
kept
offered
you
me.
separate.
Yeah, they kept us separate. They offered to, you know, I drove in the front seat of the police car and they took us to the hotel, and then I grabbed my bag and they, you know, I got back in the truck and I drove off. And that's how that incident went.
Was there any violence on your part? Did you attack her in any way?
No, not at all. Not at
Did
all.
you threaten her in any way? Did you tell her you were going to do something bad to her?
No, never.
Clearly, nothing
Turn
happened.
your
Nobody got
attention
arrested,
to
nobody got-
August of
No.
2022, 6 months ago. The allegation is again that you guys were fighting over the videoing of a phone, or potentially that she was videoing you. Do you remember the incident?
Yeah, I remember that incident.
Did you strike her?
No,
Did you drag her across the floor?
Absolutely not.
Were the police called?
I called the police because
Why did you call the police?
Because we were having an argument and she was very upset, you know. We were talking. I wasn't dressed.
What do you mean?
I know she had the phone in her hand and I seen her grab it. So I grabbed the phone out of her hand. That was about all I did, was grab the phone. And then I called the police because she started to attack me. So, you know, and so I called the police.
The
police came and I told the police what was going on. I think she was filming me without clothes on. So what they did was they made her go through the phone and see if she had any videos of me undressed. So they said that there wasn't anything there and they just drove off, and that was the end of it.
Okay. Again, just to reiterate, no, you did not attack her.
No.
You did not drag her along the ground. You didn't cut her hand or
No.
Okay. Did you know she went to the emergency room?
No, I didn't know about that.
Today was the first day you learned of that?
Yeah.
All right. After that incident, tell the court what, well, first of all, her testimony was that you were really not living in the house anymore from November of 21 to the present. How often were you back? Were you working out of state? Tell the court a little about that.
Yeah, I've always worked out of state, and I would come home on weekends and stuff like that. So I would always go to work and come home. Sometimes I might be laid off where I'm staying home at multiple weeks at a time. I would get a new job and then go back to work, stuff like that.
Okay.
So I would always come home on the weekends to spend some time with my son, though.
Rago Monkey.
You guys were still living together as a family for the majority of this time?
Yeah, we always lived together for the last 5 years.
One of her allegations also was that you forced her to have sex. Did you ever force her?
Nah, never.
Have the police or anyone else ever questioned you about forced sex?
No.
After the August incident, did the two of you continue to have sexual relations?
Yes.
Not every day, but
no. I'm just yes, it took place.
You were still living in the same bedroom?
No. That's
when did you move out of the bedroom?
That's been a while. That's been a while. I don't know. I'm not good with the dates, but we had separate bedrooms for quite some time now.
Okay. Is that because
a lot of time I would just try to spend a lot of time in my room and try to stay separated, but she would try to talk to me and just try to nag me.
The nagger.
Okay. She also made an allegation that she didn't say when, but that there was some other time that you may have pushed her out of the way, out of the doorway. Do you remember ever pushing her in any way?
No. I don't do nothing. I'm not that type of person. I don't, you know what I mean?
He's super chill right now, like beyond chill.
Whose name is the lease in?
Mine and my son, our son.
Your son is listed as
I said,
a tenant.
he's paying rent
Obviously,
for
he's
him and
too
his
young to
kid.
be
Mhm.
a leaseholder.
Yeah, no, I just have him on.
Okay, so when we saw the video, there were a couple of videos we saw of you interacting with the police, where you indicated that
there's no reason to put
you
her
were
on
going to
the
have her
lease.
evicted. She doesn't have any right to be there, correct?
Correct. This has been.
All right, I'm gonna object there, because legally under the law, if she's residing there and has been residing there, she has a right to be there. Right? He would have to go.
She may have an equitable interest in the property. That's correct.
And he would have to go through the eviction process.
Yes.
So you can't just stop. Do not.
Okay.
Ma'am, I am interjecting because you are pro se, and I feel like this is fair at this point. For me to make clear, regardless of how I rule, that all parties understand there is a process to go through for eviction.
No question.
Not necessarily the TPO process. It's not necessarily putting someone out and calling the police. There is an eviction process. If someone's residing there, it doesn't matter if they're on the release, how you go about getting them evicted.
No question,
Okay?
Judge.
And I want to make sure that's real clear. Do you have a
Hey.
question about that, Mr. Ross?
No, I am aware of the process, Your Honor. So I've never tried to take any other route, nor have I started any other process. Okay.
I'm making sure that you're aware of that. You did make the comment about eviction, and I understand
Well,
the parties
you know,
right now are
that's-
not in a
that's-
good place. So
Yeah.
He can.
I want to
evict
make
her.
sure
It's a
everyone
process.
understands however I rule, because if I have concerns going forward, that could affect my decision if I'm concerned that there's going to be future
She's gonna
violence,
get
and that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay.
I'm gonna
No,
go nuts.
Right. So let me say that I've never started any process of eviction. We've just been struggling with bills. I've been taking on a lot. Well, all of the financial responsibility, and that's been creating a lot of pressure, but not to the point where any acts of violence. That's why there is no evidence of any acts of violence. It's just been a lot of arguing about finances between me and the petitioner. That's about it.
I'm going to ask the court to pull up
I really
I
do.
believe it was P4.
I mean, did she just make the case that she would, even though it's not a history of
That's
violence,
fine,
perhaps,
Madam Clerk.
if she thinks
Thank you.
she's going to be kicked out of the house, that she's going to grant
Blow
it?
that up a little.
him
Have
away
you
from
have you read
her?
this?
That's
this
what I
text?
took
This
from
was
it.
From that was put in as plaintiffs 4 or petitioners 4.
You said, have I read it?
Yes. Have you read this? Did you read this while it was up earlier?
I'm on my cell phone right now, and I really cannot. I cannot
Meow.
see these texts, but I do recall this day.
She's very sus.
She called me. I was at work, and Your Honor, I'm a safety manager for one of. Well, I was a safety manager for one of the largest construction companies in this state. She called me, and she asked me to get my son. I can't just leave work, because I'm a safety manager. Well, I'm just trying to. I'm not gonna.
Thank you, Sassy.
Are you saying
Go
you
ahead,
can't?
go ahead.
He's on the John Arrell.
Wait a minute. You're saying you can't read it on your phone? There's no way for you to. Blow it up?
Yeah. I can't even read. I can't read that. Like I can't see it.
Can you not pinch it and make it and blow it up a little? Or if I could ask the clerk to blow it up a little further?
Okay. I could do it. Okay. So right here, where it's cut off. I mean, you're sick. It's kind of just cut off. We should start from the.
By the way, there's not a lot of
even from the beginning of that book.
Even from here.
I want to ask you this. Can you look through this and you see, is there anything here that where you've made a threat to her?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I guarantee there's not.
No.
I
skimmed through.
I've never made any threats
pop it up
at
and
all. This was just, she asked me to pick him up, and I'm just like, you can't just. And then I leave work.
He has a
I left
job.
work to go pick him up, and then she goes and pick him up.
Can I object,
without
Your
telling
Honor?
me. No.
I am truly
Hold on,
blessed
what's your
that you were
objection,
able
ma'am?
to give me this.
He
miracle.
didn't leave work. He had already.
So hold on.
So I
So
can
let me
call
be
it
clear.
truth.
What objections are not to whether you agree with what the person's saying, but whether it's legally relevant or not, or it has to be for a legal basis, not
No, he's taking it out of context. He's reading off of he don't recall that day. He's reading off the text message. That's not what took place that day.
Okay, so you
What?
testify. This is his chance to testify,
Okay.
and then
What?
so I'm going to overrule that
What?
objection in that he's testifying about something you've already presented into evidence, and whether that's true or not, or consistent with the evidence and everything I've heard, will be something
he's
to be
talking
determined
about
later. And
Water
something
under the bridge, and let's
Yeah.
start here, my queen. And I'm honored to call you my son's mother.
Yeah, those are all the things that are included in this. And she's saying he's taking it out of context. There's only one way to read that. It's a text message.
As I was on my way to going to get him, I ran into traffic. So I'm reaching out to her. Did they take it off?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Well, I was reaching out to her to see to let her know, like, hey, I'm in traffic, because the daycare was closing. So she stopped responding to me as I'm on my way to go get him, and she ended up going to go pick him up. She ended up going to go get him, and so I went there. By the time I got there, he was gone.
She testified
So
she
I was
quit
just like,
responding.
it was
We
just
can
a
all
lack of
remember that.
Yeah, she did.
communication.
Said,
She
I
was
just
going to
thought
pick him up. She could have just called. She could have just texted me and said, "Hey, don't even worry about it. I'll go get him." But she didn't do that. So, but I don't know what that got to do with anything about acts of violence. So,
Okay. On the same exhibit on page 4, if they could bring that back up. Now you heard the petitioner's testimony that this was there also again for violence, where she said you refused to talk to her. Do you recall that?
I need to read it. We're on the right side or the left side?
We need to
starting on the left
We
side.
need to talk. Okay.
The left side. Okay.
Let's talk over
Let
the
me
phone.
see.
I no longer want to talk in front of Will. What time
this
do we
is-
talk?
Let's talk.
This is where she
over
said
the
he
phone.
hung up on
I
her.
no longer want to talk. That's me saying that I don't want to talk to her in front of Will.
And then
You
she went
repeatedly
off.
said you want to talk to her.
Yeah. What time can you talk? It says it right there.
Is there anything on these 2 pages where you made a threat to her about anything?
No, absolutely not. All of it's in blue. That's
And
her.
does it
That's her.
say that you're refusing to talk to her?
No, not at all.
Okay. Nothing further from this.
Get
exhibit.
ready. I honestly think we're not going to get the judgment that we.
No, I'm starting to think you're right, man. That she's going to give it to her.
And I'll
no
tell you,
matter
when I
what.
started thinking that is when she had brought
Mr.
up.
Ross,
I don't know.
I
Judge brought
apologize.
up
I know
those
this
two
is-
things.
We're
that
trying
there
to
was
prove
no
a
proof
negative.
about.
It's never happened, and she's saying it did.
And almost as if she took those in as.
Do you
the
have
gospel.
any intent on harassing her in the future, harming her in the future, threatening her in the future?
Absolutely not.
What would your desire to be to take back possession
Mom,
of the
exactly.
property?
That's what I took from that. 100%.
Honestly, I just want to see my son. I actually want them to be. I want them to be comfortable. That's always been what I've done for them, is try to create a home, for them to be comfortable while I work and make a living, to provide. So I've never. So I mean, it's not even about taking back possession and all of that, but we can't occupy the same space. We both understand that we're just not meant to be together. So we can work. I'm willing to work something out as far as the home is concerned. So it's not even about possession of the property, because really ultimately I just want them to have a place and be comfortable.
Remember when she was
As far
preaching
as
about how
me
she was brought up?
doing anything
She
out
don't
of the
show him any
ordinary,
respect.
and
From here.
I don't even know. I don't know where that's coming
we
from.
saw in video,
honestly.
very good.
We haven't had any problems since I filed for the legitimation. I think she's concerned about me, trying to take him from her, and that's not my intent.
You just want to be the legal parent.
I object.
Okay, what is your objection?
That he says I'm just trying to do this because of the legitimization case, and that's not the case.
So I'm going to call that a speculation objection. Mr. Shapiro, do you have a response?
I think he's allowed to testify about what his personal knowledge is, and he knows her certainly better than you or I do, Judge. And it's his opinion about what her motivation is.
So he can testify. He thinks that's why Ms. Truitt is doing that. And
this is just extreme to me, Your Honor. I mean, I've never laid any hands on her. That's why there is no evidence that I've laid any hands on her. So
okay.
I just really I don't understand where this is coming from.
So okay, hold on. I'm gonna let Ms. Truitt respond. Since she is per se, I do have a couple of questions I want to ask you. Did you know about the TPO back in August of 2022?
No.
Okay. And when you said
first time we learned about it was today, Judge.
okay, and when you said in August of 2022, you took the phone out of her hands. Can you please describe to me how that happened?
Like she's standing right in front of me. I just snatched the phone out of her hand. Like took the phone out of her hand.
That?
Because I thought she was recording me. And then when I did, and
what was the issue about her recording you?
I didn't have any clothes on.
At all?
Like just underwear.
Okay. And what did you do once you took the phone and had it in your hands?
It's not a huge deal, is it? I guess.
Nothing.
Maybe in the court of law it is, but.
Okay. All right, Ms. Truitt, do you have any questions for him?
I do.
Okay, you can ask me and I will let Mr. Shapiro respond if necessary, or I will ask them of Mr. Ross if not.
So in November of 2021, he stated that he pressed the button that came down on my body. He heard it.
I'll fight about this.
But then when I got in the vehicle, he denied that he did that and he didn't recall the next day.
Objection, is this a question or?
My question is, how do you remember today what happened if you didn't remember in that moment or even the next day?
He probably didn't want you to
How
start
do you
fussing
remember
at
today
him
of
for
what
doing it.
happened?
Okay. Any
Why
objection,
bring it up
Mr.
in?
Shapiro? I think that's probably a fair question on cross.
I guess it's a fair question.
All right, Mr. Ross, if you're saying today that
Oh,
you
she
remember
is-
exactly what happened with the whole trunk situation, how
How many times
why
are we
did
gonna
you
revisit this thing?
why did you tell her per her testimony that you didn't remember it the next day?
I'd say I didn't say that.
I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time understanding what's.
Did you
I
tell her the
don't-
next day that you didn't remember it happening?
Your Honor, I don't recall. I don't recall that. I mean, no.
Okay. All right. Next
My-
question, Ms. Truitt.
Yes. So my second question
That's how I'd answer
was,
every one of those questions. I don't recall
in
that.
regards
I didn't say
to
that.
Just like it's a
the
deposition.
actual
I don't recall.
uh
And who does?
in
Some
November
random
when he
interaction
said
like that, he
he had
probably-
my son, can he confirm if my son had how did my son leave out of the
Right.
home with me, and how did he return back with him?
Is this
Okay,
about the
so
shoe?
in November, how did the son leave with you and how did the son come back with you?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, so my question was, our son, was he missing a shoe? Was he
Here's
missing
the
a
missing
shoe?
his shoe thing.
Again, that's
Kids-
so
Outside
simple.
of the
Kids lose
November,
shoes all the time, man.
2021
Right.
incident?
Walking
Okay,
through Walmart, there's
so
a single
was your
shoe on the
son
floor
missing a shoe
just
at
about
the
every
November
trip.
2021
Right.
incident?
Your Honor, does this have anything to do
And
with any
just
act
you
about it?
can
Answer the
answer
question,
yes or
William.
no.
Do you remember it or not?
As far as I know, my son has shoes all the time.
Okay.
I don't know what.
Ooh, there's her gotcha moment.
Okay. All right, Ms. Truitt.
Okay.
Yeah.
When he said he just took the phone, how did he take the phone? Because he didn't just
He
take
already
the phone,
says-
he came and rushed and pushed me down.
Objection, Your Honor. The question
She's
is a question.
testifying.
Okay.
Okay, so remember, this is not a time to testify, but you do
No.
have him on cross. So the question you're asking appears, when you took the phone, did you come and rush at her? I think that's the question she's
Yes.
asking.
No.
How did the water bottle that was in my hand end up on the floor and my nails get broken?
Okay, Mr. Ross, how did her water bottle that was in her hand end up on the floor and her nails get broken?
I don't know.
I have no idea, Your Honor. I have no idea of how her nails got broken or how a water bottle ended up on the floor.
The water bottle again. My God, Deb. Another Deb.
My next question, he stated in
Let me ask one question. Did you see her broken nails?
Just went from when we just seen them. That's
All right, go ahead, Ms. Truitt.
Yes. There's also a text message that I sent to him in the evidence in regards to what happened. So he had knowledge of what happened that day because he tried to
So
get.
not testifying, what is your question?
Yes. My question is, did you receive the text message that was received August 22nd when he asked if it was okay to pick up my son from school?
Objection, Your Honor. She's
22nd.
testifying as to evidence
No.
that I don't think is in evidence, something that's not in evidence.
Well, I think she can ask him if he received a text from her telling him what happened, right? She has him on cross. She's asking about stuff that's already been, and if she has it and wants to try to admit it, she may, or otherwise he may say, yes, I do. I don't know what the answer is going to be.
You can
But
still
I'm
admit
going to
new
overrule the
evidence
objection
at this point.
on this point and let her ask that question. So when was this text sent? You're asking? The same day or the next day?
It was August 22nd. It's in the evidence.
Okay, without telling me, I haven't, remember, nobody's looking at the evidence, so you have to testify to what, or you're not testifying now, but you have to articulate what it is you are talking about.
Yes, so I asked him if it was, he asked me if it was okay if he could pick up my son from school because they had given me a call. And I told him no. And
So
then,
not testifying, so you're asking, so you're asking Mr. Ross if he received a text from you in response to picking up your child where you said what?
I said no, and I explained to him what happened. And I had went to go pick up my son. I also let him know.
When you say explain to him what happened,
Oh,
you
yeah.
saying in this
I told
text,
him-
what did you, what?
Yeah.
100%.
Can I?
Hold on. So, okay. So you told him what about the fingers and the broken fingernails?
Yes, I told
Okay.
him all of that happened. And I showed him when he came back to the house. I showed him. And
Okay, so
he
hold
broke
on.
my
We're not
nails.
testifying. We're asking questions. So, Mr. Ross, did you get a text from her in response to her you texting her about picking up your son where she told you about her broken nails and other issues that she had?
Your Honor, I don't recall these text messages. I mean, we text an awful lot, Your Honor.
Well, so here's
For real.
She is.
you just
for
said
real.
you didn't know
She
anything
is
about these broken
holding her
fingernails
hand.
until it was just shown. However, and you said
I
very
just thought the
clearly
same
that, but now
thing.
she says she has a text where she texted you in response,
I mean,
pointing these things out to you. Are you saying you do not recall that at this time?
I'm almost speechless at this
Yeah,
point.
that's what he said.
If she sent me text messages about broken fingernails, Your Honor, you asking me if I remember these text messages?
That's her question.
No, he already said no.
I guess so. I mean, are you asking me if I? It's a difference.
Here's what
between-
we're gonna. Here's what we're not gonna do. Okay, I take demeanor into consideration in addition to everything else in these cases. And you said very clearly you didn't know anything about broken fingernails or injuries, and she has asked a question, which is a fair question on cross-examination. Did you get a text about those? And you said, is your answer yes, no, or I don't recall? That's all we're asking. Mr. Shapiro, if you want to chime in.
I mean, if you don't recall, you don't recall. That's the whole thing. There's not, if she wants to show evidence of it, that's fine. But if you don't recall, you don't recall, William.
Building her own case because she's going to rule on.
I don't remember these text messages, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's fine. But the impression I have is you are getting angry about the question itself.
No, he's
And
getting.
that gives
He's
me
not getting
some
angry.
concern.
He's
So
getting
I'm
frustrated
asking,
because he
just
doesn't
answer
know
the question. Yes,
any of this
no, or
has
I
to
don't
do with
recall.
it.
Okay.
I don't recall.
And you may explain your answer as necessary for any of these things. All right. So she also wanted to ask the question, did she come physically show you the next day or shortly around that time the injuries she is claiming that were caused by the physical interaction?
No.
Okay.
The supposed physical
Ms.
interaction.
Truitt, do you have any other questions?
Yes.
Physical
So
interaction.
if we take a look at
Legend.
P1, is that his?
So I need you to tell me what P1.
P1 is a picture of the room with my nails on the floor, and that is his slipper.
When was this picture taken?
This picture was taken August 20th, that night. And the water bottle is right there. My nails are right there.
Judge, I specifically said, because this is when we first saw her
These are
evidence.
fake nails.
She had multiple pages, and I said the only thing that's been admitted is the first page, this picture of the
First
broken
page
door.
of P1.
That's the only thing that's before the
That's
court.
correct. That's correct. First page of P1, the door, right?
No, yes.
So what page are you talking about of P1?
P1 is page 4
She's
of the
trying to
nails,
do
the water
evidence
bottle,
that we haven't seen yet.
the slipper.
And when was this taken?
That was August 20th. That was that night.
By you?
Yes.
Has it been
And where
altered
was
in
he
any
at this
way?
point?
Viking, more than five.
He was outside. He was not. He was in his room. This was after the police
it
had
got
left
nowhere.
and decided they wasn't going to do anything. So I had took a picture of everything because that's exactly how it was.
Okay, so hold on. Do you have a question about this picture?
Yes.
Okay, so the problem is, well, I'll let Mr. Shapiro.
It's not admitted. We're objecting. It's if she wanted to put it in, I was very clear about what what we were concerned about with the nature of her evidence. That
So I understand. So let's say
President
she comes back
Shabby
in
at best.
rebuttal and wants to testify and say, this is a picture I took that evening.
She has not told one story.
She has a right to do.
Yes.
Hold on, ma'am.
At all.
Okay.
So
Since the
at that
beginning.
point, the problem is, ma'am, you can't introduce this picture through him. Okay. So unless he has seen this before and can say this is a true and accurate depiction of that location, which
He's almost damn near given up at this point.
if you haven't done this, unless you're saying you sent him this picture, then it can't come in at this point.
Okay, but I also the text message, the copy of that text message is on P1, where he asked me to pick up my son, and I told him no, I would pick him up, and I explained to him the injuries. That's on P1.
again, same objection, Judge. I don't think she's
What
understanding.
page of P1 is this? Hold on, let me.
That's P1, page 6.
Okay, page 6. P1, page 6. All right. So you're saying this is the text that he said he does not recall?
Yes.
All right.
Is this the same one about picking up the
He is
kid?
offering this to refresh his recollection or impeach?
Say something. Say something, Eric.
I don't think she can offer it as impeachment because it's not. She has to. She
He
has to.
said, I don't
actually verify.
recall. So you can't impeach someone when they say, I don't recall necessarily.
Correct.
So,
Eric, say something else.
Yes, I would like to introduce this so that he can remember what was.
well, here's the thing. You didn't lay the foundation for it when you first testified. You can show it to him and he can say whether he
Which I think
remembers
he's
it
already
or not.
testified to just a second ago.
But I don't think it can go much beyond that if he doesn't remember that, or he may say that is a text I received. But she does have him on cross. And he testified about not knowing about the injuries, and then maybe he did know about the injuries. So
I understand, Judge.
okay. So we can pull up Petitioner's 1, page 6.
Need. Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say that's not that picture. She's talking about these text messages.
At least these are new ones. I'll be picking up Will from school, and we're going into the park afterwards. I will pick him up. It's best you stay away for a while.
All right. Ask him,
scared of
sir, do you recall this text thread?
Yes, Mr. Ross, do you recall?
No, I'm asking him, sir. Sir, do you recall this text thread?
So she's saying that the kid's scared of him, and I want you to calm down. I don't want you to pick him up. I don't want you to do any of that. And he comes back saying, it's you. What you did that night was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen a mother do to a child. That's why I called the cops. You should be ashamed of yourself, and that is child abuse. Why would you do that? You're sick and you may need help. Never in my life have I witnessed something like that before. That's why I left. You're losing your mind. And then she goes on to say, you attacked me first and took my phone in front of our son, broke my nails, bruised my hands.
William, do you remember
my
this
body.
interaction?
You didn't stop even in front of Will. It's not the first time, but it will definitely be the last. So that's the whole.
Yeah, but there's nothing under. Where's him responding to that? I mean, she cropped it just so.
Do you remember it?
Up until, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, it's all.
What do you say to that? I'm sure
We
you
need to
remember.
unmute him.
Even he
Mr.
says,
Sorry, you got muted. If you could unmute. Okay, so can you answer yes, no, or I don't remember?
I don't remember, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, we can take that down.
I'm sure there's been millions of text messages between the two of them.
All right, Ms. Pruitt, do you have any questions about?
do.
Okay, go
Yes.
ahead.
So on December 6th, he stated that he was called to leave work. He said he was leaving work. At what time was he called, and where was he located when he received that call?
Objection relevance?
Ms. Truitt, what's the relevance to that question?
The relevance is he was already home. I had called him because I got locked out.
This is not the time to testify. Okay.
Okay.
When she, I'm gonna let her ask this question. When she,
Are you kidding me?
when she called you about picking up the child, where were you on that day?
Work.
Okay. Ms. Truitt, do you have any other questions?
Yes. On that day that you were called, were you headed to pick up, did you go to the dealership to pick up a new pickup truck? Did you?
Who cares?
Let me ask, were you on your way to Lawrenceville to pick up a truck when I called?
I don't recall.
So, okay, well, I'm gonna let him ask that. So he doesn't remember. Do you have another question?
Yes.
Why are we letting her ask all these questions?
I have to
When
do
you
with
stated you was an
anything.
hour away, was you an hour away?
When you said
from
you
work?
love me, did you really mean it?
Objection. I don't
Covington, or were
recall
you
him
in
stating
Social
that.
Circle,
Hold on, let
or
her-
were you an hour away headed towards Lawrenceville?
Okay.
I don't recall.
So hold on, don't answer the question yet. If your attorney has an objection, let me
I
respond.
don't remember him testifying to that and that she's putting words into his mouth.
I don't
Okay,
recall.
well,
He stated he didn't recall. He was reading the text message and he said he was at work. He was not at work.
okay, so that he's already said that he was, you
If she could
disagree with
prove
it,
that,
but
okay.
you can't
Yes.
ask any more questions
deal.
about it because he's already said that he was, he's already given an answer on that, okay? So let's go to the next questions.
So the next question would be, he said he wanted the kids and I to be comfortable. And he
Like,
he
paid
didn't want
rent for so
possession
long.
of the home.
Paid all the bills.
Why did he not pay January's rent if he wanted us to be comfortable? Because there's an eviction filed currently.
Oh my God.
Why didn't he?
Objection relevance?
Well,
Start saying that on every
I would,
questionnaire.
except for the
Please.
fact that he enters the door and made the comment that he wants them to be comfortable. So I'm gonna overrule the objection and allow her to ask that question. Why did you
Oh my
not pay
God.
January's rent given the pending eviction?
No.
You wanted them to be comfortable.
No eviction was not to my knowledge. How could I know of any eviction if I'm not home to receive any eviction? And two, don't have the funds. Next question.
Are you
Okay, so hold on.
You can't
All
do
right.
that, William. You can't do that.
So here's a question about the
I'm
text.
sorry.
So there was a
I
text
know
that showed the eviction being texted to you. So are you saying you don't know about that eviction in that text?
I don't recall that text, Your Honor.
All
I
right.
don't.
Okay.
You're talking about the eviction from August when
Yeah, that's
earlier.
So you're talking about another eviction.
There's a current eviction that was
She's
submitted.
talking about right now, Judge.
And
Okay,
I
that
did
was not
let-
made clear. All right.
Okay,
I did
So-
let Attorney Shapiro know about that.
So hold on. No testimony. He's saying his answer is he doesn't know about that eviction.
Okay, so I did make Attorney Shapiro aware of that.
So that's not, it doesn't matter. It's what he is
Okay,
client
so
understands.
my question to him, did he or did he not pay rent for January?
Yeah, he did, but
He said he did not.
he said he ain't got the
That was
money.
already asked and answered.
He lost a long time ago.
And-
didn't
He lost a long.
And his
long
answer
time.
was he did not have the funds.
Okay, are you currently employed?
All right. Okay, we're not going to get into the funding at this point. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and interject and say his employment at this
Thank you,
point.
Judge.
His employment at this point is not relevant to whether acts of family violence have been committed or will be committed in the future.
Judge, can I just say one thing?
He shouldn't
And
have
then
to
I'm
pay
done.
any of the bills
Is it a question?
unless he's
Yeah,
ordered to do so.
It's in regards to the current eviction. that was filed. The answer is due on February.
So here's the
18th.
thing, that's not relevant to whether acts of family violence have been committed. And even if, no matter what I decide today, it's not going to stay any eviction process, okay?
She already told you
Can I
that.
have one more question?
What is it?
Yes. So he stated that he did not intend for us to get evicted, but he did not make payment for us to stay in the home. And he also on video stated that he was going to evict us. Is this a way he knew
He can't evict them. He
that if
doesn't
you
own
don't
the
make
place.
payment, you will get evicted?
Okay, so her question is, did you not pay on purpose so you could evict them?
No, Your Honor, that would be me getting evicted.
Okay.
Me not paying the rent would that would get me evicted. Cause it's my lease. I would be, so no,
One more
I didn't pay,
question,
I didn't.
Hold on.
Shapiro can't,
Hold on, let
he
me
can't
finish.
come after
Yeah,
her.
I understand.
because
So it would be
he
you
probably
and
has to
anyone
go
who
in
lives in
front
that
of her a
residence,
lot.
correct?
That's the
Right.
last
So
thing you
no,
want
I didn't do that on
Yeah.
purpose
Push her luck.
to harm my credit or
can see
me
it in
having
his face.
chances of renting anywhere else. So no, Your Honor.
All right, okay. Ms. Truitt?
Yes. So he stated that he did not know about the eviction. Did he remove all of his belongings from the home on January prior to January the 23rd?
So I will did you remove all the belongings from the home before January 23rd? All of your belongings?
The police officers told me to
family
get as much
violence?
stuff as I could, Your Honor,
Okay.
as when I got
The judge
served.
keeps playing into this.
So
And then
do you
every
have
once in a
anything
while
left in the
she'll stop and
residence?
say, but
Yeah, I still have
it's on
stuff
track
there.
for
Yes.
what
Okay.
does that have to do with family violence?
Okay, so his testimony is he removed as much as he could, but he has some stuff left there.
Muted.
He was served on the 23rd. He removed his stuff before the officers gave him an opportunity.
Okay, so now time for testimony.
Okay.
You can say, didn't you remove your stuff before the officers
Why are
arrived?
we helping her
And
so
what would your
much?
answer to that question be, Mr. Ross?
To build her case. Because she's already ruled.
Yes, no, or maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Just stick with I don't know, please.
I was just trying to I was just moving my stuff, Your Honor. I was just
So
moving stuff.
you did move some of your stuff before the 23rd.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So his answer is yes.
But the question was, did you move out? I listen, you can take some stuff
Right, any
away.
more questions,
You're
Mr.
staying there
Yes.
part-time.
What
It's
day
his house.
did you acquire your new pickup truck?
It's his name on the lease.
Relevance, Judge.
Okay.
It's relevant. It's relevant. It's very
Well,
relevant.
okay, here's my question. How is that relevant to whether he's
Attitude
committed
from
acts?
her, fine.
It's
Cross-examination needs to be based on what his testimony, crossing his testimony earlier. There was no direct examination or even discussion from her about purchase of a truck. Why is that relevant now?
Okay, and that's what I just asked her and what she is answering to me.
Yes, that is relevant because he was not going to work. He was going to purchase his vehicle, a new vehicle, when
Okay,
he
so
was
I'm
an
gonna
hour away and didn't help me.
So
with
I'm going to
my-
sustain the objection because whether or not he picked up the child and lied about it is not relevant to whether acts of family violence have been perpetrated. Okay.
That's when he started harassing me because
So-
I asked him.
So I understand, but I'm still sustaining the objection. Okay. Any other
Yeah,
questions?
And I've got 2 packages that need to go, so my time is.
On the 23rd, when did
We're
you
this
call
close from having
the
to go.
police
you gotta see the
department
end.
and state that I was withholding your son from you and that you knew about your restraining order that was has not been served and that you had a gift for your son?
Okay. So on the 23rd, did you call was it the sheriff's department?
It was, I guess, police officer. That's
When on the 23rd, did you call a law enforcement agency alleging that saying that you knew about the TPO, that she was withholding the child from you and you had a gift for the child?
I called. Yes, I did call the police, the sheriff. I called the sheriff to get served so that we could address this TPO, Your Honor.
Okay. And the question was, did you tell them that she was withholding the child from you?
I don't recall that, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you tell them you had a gift for the child?
I did have a gift for the child.
Okay. All right. Okay.
One more question, because he said he
You
wanted
said
us
that
to be
5 questions
comfortable.
ago.
And it's been almost 2 months since he's been in a home. He wanted us to be comfortable, but he has not also provided any financial support to help us be comfortable. Is
Okay.
there a reason why you have not done so?
So I'm gonna not. Mr. Shapiro, do you have an objection to that question?
Could you repeat the question?
He stated that he wanted us to be comfortable, but he also did not pay the rent nor provide any financial.
We've
I would
already
say
said
relevant and
this
asked and
again.
answered. He always said he couldn't pay the rent because he couldn't afford it.
We've already said this.
And I don't know what the relevance is at this point either.
So I'm going to sustain the objection that that's not relevant to whether there's been acts of family violence that have been committed.
Only the reason why is because the gift, he said he couldn't pay the rent. He said he didn't have any money, but the gift that he had was an iPad.
Okay, so again, the financial stuff.
Okay,
is not acts of family violence.
Okay, so did you or did you not purchase an iPad for your son as a gift?
And what's the relevance of that?
Because he said he didn't have any money, but he purchased the iPad to track.
But what's the relevance of that?
To track where we were going.
Okay, so here,
what?
That could be almost impeachment as well, because he's saying he didn't have money for the rent, but then he purchased an iPad. So I'm going to let her ask that one question.
Oh, are you
I'm
kidding
gonna roll the
me?
objection. So did you purchase your son an iPad for his gift?
I bought my son a $50 iPad, Your Honor.
Okay. So that's his answer. All right. Any other questions?
I think we're using iPad like a generic term for a tablet.
Let's see, I'm trying to make sure.
iPads are well over $1,000, basically.
Do you have a prior history of aggravated assault or simple assault
3
with your other son's mother?
Yeah,
Objection,
people
relevance?
call any shitty tablet an
iPad.
It's
So
relevant.
keep that in mind.
So I'm going to have to sustain the objection that unless it's something you witnessed or present for, it is not relevant. Unless
it's the pattern that's happening with me. It's the same pattern.
Here's the thing: unless he said something to you about it and you have knowledge of it.
I do have knowledge of it.
Okay, but were you present for any of it?
No, I
Okay.
wasn't present.
Did he?
Yes.
I have to run very quickly. I can be back before the chase. Should we migrate? I don't know what to do here because we got to see. I mean, we got to see the end, but we got to chase. So I don't know.
For us to see the end, we're going to have to start. We got to chase late. There's no way they're going to be wrapped up in 15 minutes. Because she's still trying to help her.
Can you hold out for 10 minutes? I mean,
yeah.
Without.
I can stay with this until it ends. But we're going to probably be late.
Let me run and we'll figure it out then.
All right. Go ahead.
I just let me take care of this very quickly.
Okay.
I'll be listening.
Run.
There was a safe, and the reason I'm bringing this up because I did have concerns about my safety.
Oh, safety.
He had a safe out of what was in the contents of that safe, because I didn't understand why out of nowhere he started locking his door and he had this safe, and I know he just got his.
Oh, hold on, you're not. What is your question?
My question is, what was the contents of the safe in that safe? Because that was I didn't feel comfortable while that was
Objection, relevance, Judge.
All right, I understand you're saying that's about your safety, but you have no knowledge of what the contents of the safe was, Ms. Truitt?
That's what I'm asking him to confirm.
Okay, so I'm going to sustain the objection as to relevance at this point, okay? All right. Do you have any other questions?
Why did he have to lock the door after my son peed in his bed? Why did he lock the door?
All right.
Objection,
All right,
relevance.
Ms. Truitt, what's the relevance of that question?
Because he started putting a lot of stuff in the room and locking the room. So
Okay, so
nothing
that's
could go
not,
in.
I'm going to sustain the objection. That is
Okay.
not relevant to
I
family
have no
violence.
other questions.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
let's get it done, Judge. We're staying
no
with it.
redirect, Judge.
Okay. I'm gonna hear
And hallelujah.
argument from the parties. Ms. Truitt, I will hear from you last, since it's your motion. You have the right to open and close. I'll let you reserve and close. Mr. Shapiro, I will hear from you.
Your Honor, the petitioners put some evidence into place other than obviously her testimony. She's put a couple of pieces of video in that I think any reasonable person would look at and say my client appeared calm and reasonable with the police, and
that's what we're doing.
Wasn't threatening her. As far as the text messages back and forth, clearly they're not happy with each other and they're having financial problems, but there is literally no reference to violence in any of them. The police
All
were
about
at
money.
the house on the during the August incident.
No breaks.
They didn't take anyone into custody. There was nothing done. In fact, it was my client that actually called the police to appear. The discharge papers indicated there was damage to the left hand, where there was some sort of pain in the left hand. And the predominant pain or predominant injury that was shown in the video was to the right hand. And more to the point, all of this happened 6 months ago. Yes, there was the history, there was the whether or not the door to the trunk came down too fast or not, and there was no testimony that she was actually injured by it or even felt threatened by it. She clearly got in the car with my client. I don't think that there's any contemporaneous threats to when she filed. I don't think that there's actually any evidence that any injury or any threat of injury occurred on the part of the respondent. I think this is a control issue, and she wants to keep herself and her son away from my client, 100%. Which is why he ended up having to file for the legitimation. I think they do need to be apart from each other. I don't think there's any question there. And I do believe, and I offer my apologies earlier, Judge. I may have gotten a little snarky with this, and sometimes that happens in these long hearings. We will be discussing this in the legitimation. I think that's the proper forum for most of this discussion, both the financial as well as the parenting time.
Thank you.
There were no threats made. There's no substantiation of violence. My client's testimony is very clear. He did not strike her. He did nothing but take her phone from her. Honestly, I'm unsure how she was holding the phone and the water bottle in the same hand, and therefore they both drop. Even the factual averments that she's making don't make sense under those lights, especially in light of the fact that the police were there and there was no injury to the right hand referenced by the emergency room, and clearly there was some damage to her hand. Whether that was self-inflicted or not, I have no idea, and the court can't know. All we can say is, okay, well, what evidence is there? And that's what the evidence is before the court. These cases often do come down to he said, she said, unfortunately, or sometimes it's he said, or she said, she said. But I think my client was very clear. He wants what's best for his son. I don't think he had any interest in spending all his money in defending himself in this court, as opposed to paying for things that his son needs.
Just wait till she has her time to talk.
What
Be
it's
ready.
come down to. I think he's acting
Trigger
in a
warning.
reasonable and a rational and a nonviolent way through this entire proceeding, dating back to November of 2021. Parties need to be split apart, but I don't think they need a protective order. I think that all that does is give her then the leverage up in a legitimation action that she's not entitled to.
All right, Ms. Truitt, I will hear from you on what you were asking the court.
Yes.
Get bad.
So, Your Honor, as we can see, I presented the evidence. I have stated what has taken place. Those are factual. Those are things that actually took place. I have been very upfront, honest, and transparent with Mr. Ross in communicating these things through text messages. And I've also, tried to reconcile with him through therapy. And I also, throughout this process, I have shown that both of my hands were, in fact, I was injured. And sometimes the intake person may not get everything, but that's why I did the video and I show all of that video, because that did happen. That was the first time I ever experienced anything like that, and wanted to notate that because my son was there, and that did affect my son in so many different ways. I also, it's never been about a control thing. The control thing comes from Mr. Ross. For the whole 2 years we've been here, I haven't had access. He's denied me access to the rental portal, which I always paid the rent when we stayed together until we got into this home. I've always had access to the utilities until we stayed into this home. He would give me limited access.
Before this
and then when I would pay, he would change the password. And so that's where a lot of the conflict came from. A lot of the money wasn't a result of him not working. It was because it was being distributed somewhere else outside of the home. And I was working, and my funds were used to pay for utilities and to care for our son, because I didn't ask him for funds. Are you recording, Mr. Ross?
Mr. Ross, are you not recording, are you?
No, he took his earbuds out.
That's his headphones.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. He's not, that's his headphones. Please continue.
Okay. Yes, and I also want to note that
that's so
I did
smart.
have some times where I did ask Mr. Ross to get our son, because it's just he and I here in Georgia. Our family is in Philadelphia. We don't have anyone else to really help. My daughter's grandmom helped every once in a while, but it's just me now. It's always been me when he worked out of town. And so I asked him to help with my son sometimes when I have to work out of town or go to trainings out of town. So that I did give him the time he needed to spend with my son. And then those things were, he always pressured and told me that, those times didn't work for him. So I never denied him access to my son. I never, it was never about me not paying.
Just his headphones.
Anything, because I did pay. If needed, I can supply, bank statements of when I did pay and make statements. I do believe a protection order is needed, because this.
Real quick, the chase will happen as soon as this concludes. It's about over. We're 3 hours into this. So just anyone that's here for the chase, we will be doing Thursday as soon as this concludes. Thank you. And we'll be late, by the way.
It's presented, and he don't recall those text message that he wrote, and he goes back and forth, and
he was so young.
And I don't want to say this because I know he admitted it to me personally, but I know, and it's also in the evidence that he said he needed help. So I just want him to get the help that he needs. I need him to, you know, he has a drinking problem, and I really want him to
Why are we
get the
allowing
help
that?
he needs, because my son sees all of this, and you know, I don't want my son growing up thinking that's okay. My son, every time I'm on the phone with a customer service person, my son thinks it's the police. He's very traumatized by this. And I do believe I need a protection order. It's not about control. I always try to work with him. I'm very good at co-parenting. I co-parent him very well with my daughter's dad. And I'm a big advocate for fathers. I am. But in this situation, it's just been a control thing on his part, withholding the bills, withholding the finances, not helping me with certain things, and telling me one thing and another thing is happening. And like right now, he's telling me he didn't pay because he didn't have the funds. And he clearly on the video stated he was going to evict me. And he said that, and he knew he had to pay. And he's been working, and he told me how much he was making on this particular job. And now to say he doesn't have the funds, that's a slap in the face to see all the money that's been spent out.
You don't know how much he makes?
And it's affecting my son because I just started a new job. And so he knew
You guys just
that I was
destroying us. You have no
transitioning to
idea
this
what
new
we're
job.
into here.
So for him to take and do all of this during this transition, which he filed the 27th, so he knew about the transition the December 21st, and he filed all of this during that transition to paint me as unstable, and to, you know, I always gave him access to my son. Even when he was here, he would close the door and not spend time with my son, or if he was home, he would be asleep.
Okay. And I'm not getting focus on acts of family violence.
Yes,
He was
yes,
sleeping
yes.
for you.
Yes. So yes, and so also
Sleeping,
I
that
just
son
want
bitch.
to not stray away from what was done in May 2022 when he broke that door in front of my son. That I don't want that to go unnoticed, because that was a major effect in my son's
100%
behavior.
chance she's allowing everybody.
And to write it off as that's not normal. That's not normal behavior. And also back in August, that's
I hope
not
you're
normal
right.
behavior.
I
How
hope
did
you're
I
right.
fall to the ground? I didn't do that on my own. I wouldn't hurt myself. I wouldn't hurt myself, especially
Why would you
in front
bring
of my
that
son. I
up?
wouldn't do that. I'm
Why'd you bring up
always
that
a
you wouldn't
woman.
hurt
Why would I
yourself?
hurt my son when I
Yeah,
have to care
nobody
for
even
my son?
questioned that.
Nobody's, yeah, nobody
So-
said that.
I want the court to know that a protection order is needed. Is
You've
not a
said that
control
6
thing.
times.
It's about a safety thing for myself, my family, my daughter. When she comes back, her dad is concerned about her being back home without
You can't testify to
this
why
in
he's
place, because it caused so much trauma for my
She's
daughter.
allowed to do whatever she wants in this court.
And she sees, and she did express things to him, and he never apologized. He said he wasn't going to apologize to her. So I want a protection order to move on with my kids. And like I said, I'm not denying him to see his son. And the legitimization, I would like to do a supervised visit as my son go through counseling. I would like to get my son through counseling, but I'm not
That's right.
I'm
And
not
her
denying
son.
him from seeing
Yes,
my
her
son. I
son.
just need him to get
Her son.
better, go through drug abuse counseling and substance abuse, domestic violence, because the way he's painting this is very disturbing, because I wouldn't make these things up. I'm a very private person. So to come and have to talk about this.
Oh, here we go.
Go to a women's resource center. No, it's not something I want to do. To talk about him entering into my room when I had the door locked, that's not something to play with. That's not something I want to play with. And I have a daughter. And it's not to get emotional, but it is emotional because he doesn't understand the importance of everything that transpired since November. I didn't get an apology. My daughter didn't get an apology for the way he behaved and said some things in front of her. He never apologized. He never apologized for anything he said throughout the time, that whole year. And he knew that year was very critical because I had just lost my dad.
3 hours.
And so
no
it was
breath,
like he was
Dick.
playing on all of that. He was playing on my emotions. All of this started as soon as I lost my dad. And it's been nonstop. And so I want you to know that I need a protection order because I don't trust him. And his family was contacting me. I had to block them as well. And I know his family is a police officer in Philadelphia. I need protection. I need to make sure myself and my family is protected. And in regards to the home, like I said, I will be removed from the home in 2 weeks. So with the whole, I don't know how to, I will respond to the answer or however he chooses to respond, but I don't want to have my kids out on the streets because he's trying to be vindictive and not pay.
Okay. Well, I'm just making a decision about whether there has been, by a preponderance of the evidence.
Judge frame.
That's a judge frame. Guys, we got to chase.
Yes.
We'll be on
you
shortly,
froze.
right after this. just so you know.
I froze?
Well, I saw everybody else moving, so
Ooh,
actually it looks like William, they're moving.
Okay.
And I just lastly want to say there was
No, she stopped you.
And I just don't want them to take that lightly. It's not something you play with. It's not something, November when he, sped off and did all of that.
She already stopped her. Why we letting her talk again?
And
whatever she
when
wants
in
to do.
August, when he did what he did and pushing me out his
Well,
room,
we've been on this for 3
all
hours.
of that was
We need to see the end.
unnecessary
I'm sorry, you
violence.
guys.
And
We
that's
can't
all I want
leave.
to bring
We
forth
can't
to
leave.
everybody's attention.
The chase
This
will
is
happen.
a behavior
With peace
that
and
he
love.
has.
Peace and
He
love.
did take anger management prior to, before.
Okay.
And I just want all of that to be consideration.
All right. So I'm just considering what was testified to. Like I said,
She's had counseling, Tricia,
when
as she's mentioned numerous times.
whenever there's conflicts in I try to resolve those, believing the other party and other is not lying, intentionally misleading the court. People perceive things differently, but based on everything that I have heard today via testimony, evidence presented, and the demeanor of the parties, I do have concerns. The police have been called multiple times involving these two, and
nobody got arrested.
they were go back together, I
And he
have a
called
concern that
one of
even if
those
it's just a
multiple
family violence, simple battery, that it may be committed again in the near future at this time. So I find that there
Yeah.
have been acts of family violence.
Your Honor, my client was the one who actually called the police. That was the only testimony.
Thank you, Eric.
He also admitted that he pulled the phone out of her hand.
That's
He
not
admitted.
violence.
How is that not a simple battery?
He didn't touch her, he
What?
touched her.
Why didn't the police arrest him? How can you accuse him of something?
Theft by
And what's the
taking.
likelihood of a reoccurrence of it?
That if he goes back to that apartment where she's at right now, given his demeanor during this court session, I feel like there may very well be another incident between the two. That doesn't mean that she hasn't done anything either that has contributed, but right now I'm considering his behavior towards her. And
Not a tear
some
out of
things
the
he remembers
eyes.
and some things he doesn't. And that doesn't mean I take everything into consideration, but she obviously had some injuries, and
Obviously had some injuries.
I'm not going to explain my ruling beyond the fact that
The
I find that there
police-
has been, even if it was a misdemeanor, there has been an act of family violence that's been committed here between the parties. Based on the
A what?
testimony and how the witnesses have presented and everything that's been presented to me. All right.
I knew it was coming. I
I
knew it.
didn't have a decision going in because that's not what I do. I listen to everything and I listen to everyone very well. And I took great notes. Mr. Ross, what do you want me to know?
It's been a bunch of lies. All of this has been a bunch of lies. She has not ever.
Okay.
Did she just mute him or did he mute himself?
I don't know.
Okay. So that's my decision at this time. Wow. All right. And I'm not considering the financial disagreements, any financial abuse. That's not what I'm basing my decision on. Okay. Yes, Mr. Shapiro.
Oh, you're muted.
Mr. Shapiro?
I'm sorry, you had muted me, so it wasn't.
No,
letting
it
me
was,
unmute.
somebody did. Sometimes when
wasn't-
people start acting out, we start muting everybody.
I do understand. Can you put language in the order that says that this order is potentially modifiable by the Superior Court?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, no,
As
that's
long
the
as we can
law.
have this
So no,
readdressed.
so here's the thing. Right now, under the law, Mr. Ross has no legal rights to the child.
We understand.
Okay, so that's what it's going to say. She has sole legal and physical custody of the child at this time. In the other section, I put, nothing in this case precludes respondent from pursuing his legitimation action, and any future orders in that action shall preclude anything in this order to the contrary or be grounds for modification.
Thank you.
Okay, and so that's the law, and that's the appropriate place. Again, this is a temporary order for intervention to attempt to prevent future violence and incidents between the parties.
Would
And
the
at
court
this point-
entertain making this for less than 12 months and making it a 3-month provision?
I won't, but certainly if there's other things and there's change in circumstances, you can always file for a modification at that time.
She wanted a permanent
Or
one,
early
by the way.
termination, right? But at this point, with what's come before the court today, this is my decision, all right? And I don't make these decisions lightly, and I don't enjoy making this decision, but I have to make one. And based on what I've heard at this point, again, the legitimation process is the long-term solution for all of this, for the best interest of the child. And so at this point, the order will say that she has exclusive possession she already has the possession of the residence as it relates to the respondent, but obviously that doesn't preclude the eviction from happening. And if she moves out in 2 weeks, it won't matter. But wherever she is at a residence, the respondent is ordered to stay away from her and her children's residence, workplace, and school, and any subsequent residence, workplace, or school, to not come within 100 yards of her, and not have any contact, direct or indirect, through people, through text, social media, whatever. That doesn't preclude any court proceedings, but obviously your attorney can talk with you about how to handle all of that. She does have, under the law already, sole legal and physical custody of the child, because that is the law. There is no visitation at this point because he has no legal rights to the child. So I can't award that. But I will allow, again,
you really did.
legitimation, any agreements that happen in that case, may be grounds to modify this or terminate early, depending on where the parties are at that point. Okay.
We watched it go down, didn't we, Leather?
Both parties are ordered not to sell, encumber, trade, damage, contract to sell, or otherwise dispose of or remove from jurisdiction any of the joint property of the parties, or the petitioner's property, except in the ordinary course of business. If she moves out soon, that likely won't be a problem. I'm not going to order the not disconnecting the utilities or health insurance and all of that, because the parties aren't married. There is no legitimation, and it sounds like there's an eviction going forward. Okay. So the biggest thing is don't destroy the joint property. Ms. Truitt?
Oh, here we go.
Just one more thing, Your Honor.
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
thank you.
So I just need clarification with the process of the eviction.
Okay, hold on. I'll get to that later.
Again,
Okay,
it has
I'm
I'm
nothing
still
to
going
do
through my
with
order,
this
and I
case.
can't advise you on the eviction. You should reach out to probably legal aid or somebody like that if you have questions about it, but I'll address that in a minute. Let me get through the order. Mr. Ross is going to have to attend the Family Violence Intervention Program. You will meet with a compliance officer at the end of this hearing in a breakout room to get that information on how to get started on that. The first virtual date is March 10th of 2023. And under federal law, you cannot possess a firearm while this order is in place. And as I said, I'm adding that legitimation action. And should the parties wish to, they always have the option of filing for modification down the road. So that is the court's order. What is your question about eviction, Ms. Truitt?
My question was in regards to the items he has purchased for my son. I didn't want them to just sit them out, or I wanted to figure out how he wanted to go about that.
So I did have a question about if he still has items he wants to remove. Normally I would give a date that he can contact the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office ahead of time to escort him to get those to be there when he gets any final belongings. But it sounds like, I'm not sure when the eviction will go through. I would say on or before, is there a third party that the parties have that could do that? Y'all don't have
No,
anybody?
she already
Okay,
said
so
all
I'm
their
just gonna put
family
in
is
the-
in Philly.
So
I do have one question, Your Honor, in regards to the utilities, because I don't have access to any of that. My son is in his home. I don't want anything being turned off while he's here. So I
You're
don't
leaving
know
in
how
2
to go about
weeks.
that. I will be here for 2 weeks and then I'm moving out, but I don't want anything to get disconnected because I don't have access. I don't have access to anything. And I don't want my son to be without, because it's just right now, it's just myself and my son in the home.
Well,
Mr. Shapiro.
Get it transferred to your name. That's real easy.
Obviously, we don't want the child in a state of deprivation, but at the same time, I don't think there's anything precluding her from contacting Georgia Power or anyone else and saying, I'll pay the bill. She works. She wouldn't tell us what she does, but she said she works. She's obviously not paying the rent, which she could.
So, Ms. Truitt, I don't know what the utilities are and the situation is at this time. Go ahead and unmute.
I've tried before. They don't give me access. They said I have
His
to be
house,
the
everything in
account
his
holder.
name.
I've tried.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do.
So
do not
I
order
will
him.
ask Mr. Shapiro. So if she wants to take over those accounts for the meantime, or have the option to do that.
Well, I can get a billing statement and she can make a payment. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, Ms. Truitt. Go ahead. Yes.
He can't evict.
Okay, so also because they're so past due, I should not be responsible for the full amount.
Okay, so here's what, I'm just, I can't order that if the eviction process is going, if the bills are past due. I can't, you say you're moving out in 2 weeks. I am not gonna order ongoing utilities at this point. Sir, I see you smiling. And that gives me concern because I did hear you testify that you wanted to take care of your child.
Why would you be concerned that he's smiling?
I'm
Like
not
he
going to
got
order
bad
the
news.
continuation of the paying of the utilities because it sounds like
because he's
there's some
smiling.
discrepancies there as to who's been paying what. Yes, Ms. Truitt.
I don't like it when he smiles. Can we order him not to smile anymore,
She
Your Honor?
did just say that she's gonna
You're still muted.
make sure that those get paid, correct?
Yes, so throughout the order, he wasn't paying the utilities because they're behind.
Okay, so
he didn't fulfill.
So,
his-
ma'am, I understand.
Holy shit.
I can't make him pay if he doesn't have the money. Okay, if they're overdue. And I know you dispute that, but I can't. This is, again, we're here about intervention for acts of family violence.
We've been on this for 3 hours. We're gonna see it to the end. I'm sorry. It'll be soon.
And
it's
we're gonna
coming.
fire up the chase.
Whose health insurance? Does the child on any health insurance? Okay,
Isn't
so
she overstepping her
that's-
bounds on
okay.
this?
So at this point, I'm not going to order
100%,
that.
I
all
think
right?
so, yeah.
Judge,
Yes.
if she will, we can put this in the order, I think, if she'll consent to it, that if she leaves the home within 2 weeks, leaves it in the same broom clean condition that it was in when my client left, he'll make sure
He's gonna make
that
her
the
pay
rent
for
is
the door.
paid
Here comes the
and
door.
the utilities are caught up.
So I foresee issues with that. I don't know what the condition will be when the person left and all of that. I would just hope that people would be good people. I know that's a dangerous thing to do in the law.
Hope
But
is a dangerous thing.
given what I've heard and given that she's moving out in 2 weeks, I'm not going to order anything about the utilities. I would hope someone would not cut off the utilities for their
Good. I
child
could've
over the
swore she
next 2
said
weeks
she was
while they
going
are
to.
in a residence. That's
And
all I would
I will
say.
speak with him about that.
But at this point, if there's a move,
She
I would
basically
expect
does,
all
Deb.
utilities to be in Miss Truitt's name at a new location.
She thinks like she
wherever
can ask
that
for
is,
everything now, anything and
It will
everything.
not involve the respondent.
And she's basically gotten.
So
She's not
nothing in this
entitled
order,
at all.
as I said, precludes anything in the legitimation action and any final order in that action
for
or
real.
any orders in the legitimation action may be grounds for modification of this order, if not supersede this order. So as it relates to the child.
I agree.
But at this time, that is the order of the court. If you do not, for some reason, get a copy of it, reach out. You should be emailed one, but if you don't get a copy of it, reach out to the clerk's office and they will get you a copy of it.
Bob.
Mr. Ross, if
Bob?
y'all will just stay on for a few minutes to meet with the compliance officer, and then you're excused. I do appreciate.
Okay.
Wow.
There's nothing else we can hear from here on through.
I don't even want to. I almost just want to do a hard out and not even because we saw it coming. We've known for over 2 hours that this was going to happen. We started seeing the signs, and that was. I am not here to ever sit here and say a judge is wrong, because what the hell do I know? From what I just saw, though, doesn't seem right at all.
No, I mean,
Any
we've
of it.
seen people prove more than that not to get a TPO. And to me, she didn't prove anything, especially with the police showing up. To me, that should be the judge's measuring stick. If he's arrested, goes to jail, whatever. Not once was he arrested. He even called the police himself.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, in the very early parts of the testimony, after he had taken the phone from her, he used her phone to call the police. So again, I understand he had the phone. I understand it seems like she's basing it all on snatching the phone from her.
Yeah,
While she was trying to
absolutely.
video. He felt like she was videoing him in the nude.
And then when the lawyer had said something, she basically shot that down as quick as possible. Said, "What, you don't think that's assault?" That's crazy. No, not at all. Not at all. And the leading, or the her basically becoming her lawyer, and I mean just fishing for everything. I cannot believe 3 hours and 20 minutes, you guys, and that is why we're late for We Gotta Chase. We probably could go another 40 minutes just discussing all the craziness that just happened, but it's best we just take a big deep breath, take 10 minutes, we'll fire it up, and
I'm sure someone in the chat, in the comments down below, will say, "You guys are wrong. Y'all being completely, ignoring the facts and things like that." Coming as someone who came from a home that had tons of domestic violence of any kind you can think of, for this to be her lead press on nails, to be one of the sticking points of those popping off, not even ripping up her nail. Her water bottle being knocked over.
Oh my God.
It's erroneous. Creed, are you going to try and read all these names?
Yes, but let me get the proper music very quick, just because we should, because I mean it has been a 3 hour plus endeavor here, so why not? I gotta wait 10 minutes for the monetary monorail to come back around. Oh, there it is. There's the end there. Open one more. I'm just gonna say, when I say Lisa, I'm gonna say times 10 or 12, something like that. Conductor Pike, thank you. Bigfoot, Flusha, Pamela. Is it icy cold, or is it?
I think it's icy cold. Yeah.
Who's handsome? Gary, Mayor, Iowa. Pike times 2. Leather and Lashes, Mayor. Flusha again. Piernoth. Icy cold. Icy. I hear you. Courtney, Nancy, Toy Mom. Lisa again. Amber, Mayor. Sassy. Deb, Just Deb, Kiernoth, Golf and Guns, Leather and Lashes, Sergeant, Sarge Flusha, Bonsai, the Troyalty Podcast, Iowa. I hear you. Angela, Iowa. You're exhausted. It's gonna be a short. We got to chase today, but we're doing it.
I've been pulling off videos as we've been sitting here. Oh boy. And I will let Bishop know that you thought this was good as well. But remember, I'm not Bishop. Just remember, cats, I'm not Bishop.
All right, guys. We're gonna jump. Hello, Kay. Boy, you missed it.
Okay, long time no see. Wow. Everybody, if you're just getting here, the chase will come. And if you like this case at the end, you need to watch the entire thing because it's ridiculous, top to bottom.
Bigfoot, thank you. God, you guys, yeah.
Bigfoot got hit by the other monetary monorail that's coming through.
My
In a
God.
minute.
All right, we'll see you for We Gotta Chase. Thanks for everybody that's made it this far and hung out with us through that whole thing. This is part of doing things live. Every once in a while, we're gonna jump on one. And this one, when we've got that much time invested, we had to see the terrible end. Like and I think that I had said that about the Titanic, and we knew it for quite a while.
Yes, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you like this video if you haven't done so already. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to We Got a Case. That's our case exclusive channel on the YouTube. Trying to get that to 1,000. And if you're ever on any of the other channels, help us out. Till next time, guys. I need a nap.
Just listen.
I didn't want to correct you.
Knox actually called me and then sent me a very rude text message because I did not answer his phone while we were on.
My guy.